Fire for your mind. The kosher clinician.
Every time I come around you, baby girl, something doesn't feel the same. You said that I'm changing, but it's really you. I see how you play those games. Wifey type for a main man. A queen can make moves, a king can't. Snatch you up, now you taking. Gave you bricks, now you building a wall up, wall up. Lately you and I've been all love, all love. I don't know what's up with our love, our love. You forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie, where are you? When I need you the most, you still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting, girl you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something, now you talking. Telling me to pull it off, pull it off. How can I pull it off, pull it off? Telling me to pull it off, pull it off. How can I pull it off, pull it off? My jolie, oh my jolie. My jolie, oh my jolie. You don't turn on me now. You don't get no time for me now, babe. Got him on a rebound, but it's only you that I like, babe. Tout ce que j'ai fait c'était pour toi. Sur le haut parlement t'écoutes pas. Tu me vois crever mais tu bouges pas. Pourquoi? Whoa, yo, wall up, wall up. You can't even get the scores up for us. I don't know what's up with our love, our love. You forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie, where you been? When I need you the most, you still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting, girl you got me. This is called the bluffing, made you something, now you talking. I call you bluff, telling me to pull it off, pull it off. How can I pull it off, pull it off? Telling me to pull it off, pull it off. How can I pull it off, pull it off? My jolie, oh my jolie. My jolie, oh my jolie. Yeah, this is murder, heart is melting, girl you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something, now you talking. Telling me to pull it off, pull it off. How can I pull it off, pull it off? Telling me to pull it off, pull it off. How can I pull it off, pull it off? Pull it off. I don't know how to pull it off. My jolie, oh my jolie.
Just the other day, saw you looking my way. I start to contemplate moments that went to waste. Why you do that? You drop me like who that? And put me through that. But baby, it's useless. I'm living my life. Don't need you in mine. Me feeling just fine. One of a kind. Who better than I? Hey, 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 oh. Shawty, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I relocate, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I know my place. Shawty, I know my. Got a lot to do, I got a lot to do, I got a lot to do. Got a lot of. At the crack of dawn, in the dark of night, what I got to do? Got to do. I'ma make it loud, how I made you scream like a cockatoo. Squall. In the party where about to show the rest what the boy can do. What you expect, how I forget these thoughts of you. Don't need no reps, I'm in the jet, gon' fly the coop, fly the coop. Shawty, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I relocate. Don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I relocate. Don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I know my place. Shawty, I know my place. Shawty, don't play that game.
Let's go. Are you ready? came in. I know you wanna get to know me, but honestly I came with my girls, wanna dance by ourselves. Can't you tell? Baby, baby, I have thick skin. Yeah, I don't let things get to me. But do you want me to spell it out for you right now? I'm not feeling your vibe. Crystal clear that you're head over heels, but don't come any closer, my dear.
Tell them run it all. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turned to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies.
All right. We're bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. And this show is going to be a very good show, a show that is going to bring clarity to the dynamics between black men and black women as we seek to find resolve in this time frame called America. The young lady that I'm going to be having on the show tonight is the esteemed, I call her the exalted lioness. You know, she got that Leo swag like me, but I call her Chantelle Simone. And we're going to be talking about the intricacies of why relationships are so important and how this young lady more or less evolved from being a modern woman to what some would call a pick-me. Chantelle Simone is a very brave woman, a very talented young lady that's more or less daring to go against the grain as she seeks to bring clarity to why relationships are not only important, but also to why relationships are more or less valuable for women as relates to them getting covering and the love that they need to move forward. We're living in very turbulent times to test the souls of men. And some would argue that it's, if it's wise to have the covering of a very righteous and an honorable man. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things on today. But while you guys are listening, as I prepare to bring Miss Simone on, get the likes up. Please share the content. Hit all notifications because we're going to have a fire fest on today. We're going to be talking about the exalted lioness. I call it the exalted lioness. And we're going to be talking about a myriad of things where she tried, she cried, and she became the evolution of Chantelle Simone. So some of you ladies are evolving. You ladies are more or less trying to learn and grow from the indoctrination that was more or less implanted inside your head concerning relationships. You're beginning to look at yourself and introspect and more or less surround yourself with other women that think just like you because you want better and more suitable outcomes. And so we're going to have a bevy of questions for Miss Simone. I want you guys to ask her questions as it relates to how she became a better woman, the ladies too, because although this channel is dedicated to the efficacy of men, it's so refreshing to help women come in and more or less share their experiences as it relates to faulty thinking, as it relates to unconscious pathologies, but also as it relates to them trying to get the outcomes that's needed to get the kind of man that they want. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you guys the exalted lioness. I had to give her some love, that lioness swag, the talented Chantelle Simone. How you doing, dear?
Hi, Mr. Kosher. Thank you for having me. I like that name.
Yeah, Amira is the exiled lioness. You're the exalted lioness. You are more or less evolving from being a modern day woman to Chantelle Simone. So Chantelle, tell the audience who you are, why and how your evolution has been productive to you, not only socially but also mentally.
Well, I'm Chantel. I have a channel on YouTube which I tell my story. I share my story, how I was raised to go to school, get my education. I'm not focused too much on boys. And then when I got to a certain age, I didn't have any other relationship skills that I needed to have a successful relationship. And I realized that that dating advice that I got when I was younger was detrimental, and it did more harm, way more harm than good, if I wanted to have, which I do want to have, a husband and kids. So I use my platform, for lack of better words, to warn younger girls to not repeat my mistake. So I try to be as transparent as possible in sharing my story. And I get, of course, as you can imagine, I get a lot of pushback from mostly Black women, but it's just me sharing my story. I'm not coming from a place of perfection. I'm not a dating expert or a coach, and I 100% don't have all the answer. I'm learning as I'm sharing.
No doubt, no doubt. And I think the fact that you are learning is so profound that you're willing to look within yourself to get the outcomes that you want. But in the meantime, let me send a special shout out to my man, AMSM, a man supporting men.
Bet, right? That's
Thank
a
you, brother,
deal, right?
for
That's
that
a deal,
$2
right?
super sticker. Thank you.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Discussion
Got 5 on it.
with the lovely and the very talented Chantelle Simone. Now, listen, you're from, a background that's very diverse. You see, I got Negleo, Jamaica in the background. I had to show Jamaican some love. But your background's very diverse. You are from Jamaica originally,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Jamaica.
And so when you think about how women more or less treat their men in Jamaica compared to America, what is the succinct difference that you see, young lady?
The main difference is that American women, they don't need their men. They're, for lack of better words, more disrespectful towards their men because they don't need them. The government will assist them with certain things, as opposed to in Jamaica. We have our issues. The feminist movement did affect Jamaica, but we somewhat need our men for financial benefits, or to help out in the household. So we have less of a hatred towards our men, as opposed to, and this is what I'm observing, as opposed to African American women. We don't preach or talk about how our men ain't anything. We don't really talk too much about that, but we still do have that dominant masculine, I am a strong woman mindset.
Right. So it appears to me, Chantel, that you believe that when you look at the relationship dynamics in the United States, is it safe to say that in the United States, there's an absence of strong masculinity as it relates to men leading? Or is it based on, as you said earlier, the laws and the government that more or less play a role?
I think the law and the government played a role. So there is a depiction of a lack of strong masculinity. I think with the government removing or not having a need for men in the American household, then women, instead of choosing to submit or choosing to follow the leadership of a man, they can just choose to go on government assistance. So I think the lack of masculinity is due to the government playing a part.
No doubt. Now we're gonna get into this psychic soul train that you had to go through. You had to evolve because you're not here to minimize the importance of education. You're not here to more or less demonize American women, but you're here to more or less give clarity to why you became the woman that you became, and some of the things that you thought were right were actually wrong. I'm gonna ask you a question. Why did you start your channel? And maybe you talked about it in part. But why did Chantelle Simone start her YouTube channel?
So if you were to go way back in 2017, I am a certified personal trainer. So initially I started my channel to share how I became certified and how I like the steps. I'm NASM certified. So my channel was originally about fitness, and in being obsessed, for lack of better words, in trying to better myself in the fitness realm, it kind of spill over in my other aspects of life. I like to say I was trying to become the best version of myself. And that kind of spilled over in different aspects. And I realized that my relationship, I was good in every other aspect, my health, my fitness, my finances, my career, except for my relationship. And when I started doing research to figure out why I wasn't getting my desired results when it comes to dating, that's when I kind of switched my channel. So it went from fitness to the whole manifestation, law of attraction, you attract who and what you are, to now relationships and dating.
And these topics that you talk about are not only very salient, but they're very timely. Timely, as I said earlier, because so many are actually looking for stable relationships. When you go back, Chantelle, and look at your formative years, what more or less left an indelible impression in your psyche about your role as a young woman? We know you talk about the educational component, but what left an indelible mark in your psyche about how you saw Jamaican men and how more or less rendered you, hopeless as you sought to more or less, get a healthy relationship here in America?
Well, what affected me the most was my upbringing. I wasn't raised by my parents, and my dad wasn't really in my life. And a lot of the narrative we get in Jamaica and in America too is that men aren't reliable. So in witnessing that, I knew that, okay, back then I knew, okay, men aren't reliable. I'm going to have to do it on my own. And my dad wasn't reliable. The men in my family, weren't reliable. So that confirmed that, okay, men aren't reliable. I need to be independent. I need to be successful. So even though in Jamaica, it's still different in terms of we can't just kick our men out the house like they can in America. We still have that mindset. Okay, men aren't reliable. Be strong, independent. Don't submit and don't depend on a man.
And it sounds like to me, Miss Simone, there is really a byproduct of vicarious trauma, where some of the women lived, some of the children or the young ladies lived through the trauma of what their mothers went through, and they project that onto their daughters in a subconscious way, and sometimes in a conscious way, which in essence get them to have what's called the minimization of a man and the magnification of their importance, which in essence doesn't more or less make them suitable. Because you and I had a very powerful show about a week ago talking about relationships and why relationships are so vital, and why men are needed in relationships, and how if a woman wanted to get the protection of a man, she got to protect his ego. And so when you heard me talk about those very salient points, how did it resonate to you about protecting the ego of a man if you want the covering and protection of a man?
Well, you see, that's something that we don't talk about a lot. So that's something that I wasn't raised on. And unfortunately, it's at 28, 29, I'm learning these things. So it is foreign to me. When you talk about protecting a man, when you talk about respecting a man, his ego, even simple things like the lead attorney did a live stream probably a couple months ago now about serving the man his plate on Thanksgiving, and those conversations are very foreign. We don't, even though as a man looking in, you will think it's supposed to be common sense, you would think it's supposed to be second nature. Those discussions, like that's foreign to us. And so for the conversation that we had last probably 2 weeks now, when you talked about protecting the man's ego, if we want the protection from our men, as we like to say, black men don't protect us, we are going to have to give, and we're going to have to give some kind of protection. I know you talked about loyalty. A man wants to feel secure that if anything was to happen, if God forbid he was to lose his job, can't provide anymore, we won't jump ship. But those conversations, as I said, we don't have those conversations because society, and I mean also in Jamaica too, a man's perspective or what a man wants from a relationship or how he feels in general isn't talked about at all.
Right. When you look at the current community that you see here now in America, compared to Jamaica, are there any similarities about the negativeness of liberal policies that you not only have seen in Jamaica, but currently see here in America?
Can you ask that again, please?
No problem. So when you look at how liberal policies impacted Jamaica, impacted America, what are you seeing in Jamaica that more or less symbolizes the same destructive trail that was more or less here in America as we speak?
So the difference with Jamaica and majority of the West Indies, the islands in the West Indies, we had that black male leadership image. So we it's different because people women in America never saw a black male in leadership. So it's somewhat different to our psyche. But there's a saying that says, I want to say, if America catches a cold, Jamaica gets sick, or something like that. Like if America sneezes, Jamaica. So like to even understand, I think a lot of Americans don't understand how influential your culture is in so many other countries, in so many third world countries too. Because if you think about it, we look at America as the land of opportunities, to
Right.
the place to go. So if you can't get a visa to go, your next best thing is to mimic some of the culture, to mimic some of the lifestyle. And I know someone had left a comment on one of my videos, sharing his frustration with the woman in Jamaica. And the higher you go in class, because in Jamaica we don't really have much racism, we have classism. So the higher you go in class, of course, the more that's going to mimic the American culture. And we see a lot of those things there. Even though in politics, as I say, we see black men in leadership role, you still see a lot of the cultural clashing.
Right. Guys, to the 29 that are watching, please share the content. If you have not donate to Cash App $7 Smalls. Go subscribe to the lovely and the talented Chantelle Simone as we have this timely discussion about the importance of not only feminine virtue, but also trying to understand what men want as it relates to relationships. Chantelle, as you think about when it comes down to what men want, do you feel like there is a lack of understanding or a lack of consciousness on what men want in relationships? And if that is the case, why is that, in your opinion?
It's there's definitely a huge lack, right? One, I think men are so simple, it's difficult for us to grasp the simplicity of men. It's difficult for women to just admit that and accept how simple you guys are. And then also, for so long, we have women like Oprah. We have those talk shows just talking about women and our preferences and what we want. Men don't make good victims. So you're not going to hear men sit and complain and talk about what they want unless you go into like the barbershop or, go into their space. So I think I wouldn't, I like to believe and hope that it wasn't from a place of, being selfish, which, I mean, the more I do my videos, the more I'm realizing that, yeah, it's just selfishness. But I would hope that it's because for so long, like myself, for example, for so long I was raised with, a man is supposed to do this, a man is supposed to do that, but no attention is ever given on, okay, what should I do for a man? How do I make my man feel loved? So I think that's why there's the disconnect in society. I think that's why a lot of men needs are brushed under the rug, because we have society pushing what women want, and then men don't make good victims, and then men are so simple. It's like, okay, yeah, to the comment on the screen, that's the really all you guys want. It's hard for us to grasp when our list is like so long with what we want.
Right. Somebody asked me, is the super chat working? I don't know what that means. Is the super chat working? And if it's not working, just hit Cash App $7 Smalls. It should be working, but I'm going to put Cash App $7 Smalls down because, guys, this is a very good show. We have a very talented young lady here, and she's trying to uncover so that she can recover and become the better version of herself. As she got the new title, the Exalted Lioness. I got to give her that Leo love because she's a Leo like me, so she get a full course meal. But guys, if the super chat link is not working, let me know by hitting the 1. But if you have not donated, donate to the show, because this is a very power packed show, and this show did take me a lot of time to create, from having the very customized thumbnail for the lovely Chantel, but also putting in the time with the music, because I wanted to give her a grand occasion, because that's what we Leos do. We take care of one another. So if you guys have not donated, donate to the channel. Please donate to Cash Out $7 Smalls as we seek to gain clarity in this very timely discussion. Why is femininity so vital, Ms. Chantelle Simone? Why is it so vital in your opinion?
I think it's necessary to be feminine, to like, it's so simple to work with our men. We're gonna need more two-parent households in the Black community. And I think a lot of times, a lot of men, in this day and age, I know you talk a lot about going to Thailand, that one Zoom to Thailand. I think we just we just weren't. I think we. I don't know, because I mean, I just. It's going to take a lot of work. I know it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of reprogramming and a lot of humility and moving our egos to the side and admitting that we don't know, admitting that many of us don't know how to be feminine, and that's what our men want. And we weren't taught how to be feminine. We were raised and we saw our moms and our grandmas be all strong and independent, and we have like, oh, I'm a strong woman because a strong woman raised me, repeating those patterns. Like, you don't want to be strong. There's a saying that says stress was made for the shoulders, not the hips. We don't want to be strong. We weren't created to be strong, and that's why we have all these gut healths. So I think honestly, the biggest thing is just humbling ourselves and admitting, and then being quiet and listening to what men want. But femininity is like key, and unfortunately, so many of us don't even know what it is.
And it's really sad because, men want an inspiration. They want a feminine woman to help them become the best versions of themselves. Women don't understand, Miss Simone, the power that they have in the psyche of a man. The imprint, the feminine imprint, is very powerful and very intoxicating. Wars were started for the love of a woman. Men have died for the love of a woman. And I'm not telling the man to go out here and put your life on a woman that's not worthy, but you should put... But there's nothing wrong with putting your life on the line for a woman that honors you, respect you, serve you, and I'm going to say that dirty word, obey you. Because if you can obey the laws of the land, you should be willing to obey your husband. Chantel, why do so many women cringe when you hear that word obey? Because it's always associated with something negative. But before you answer that question, let me shout out to my man Tim Howard for the $5 super stick. He said, shout out to Chantelle Simone for being an example, admitting her imperfection and continuous to grow. The super chat is working, no doubt. So shout out to her.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
In this timely time called America. So shout out to the lovely, the exalted lioness, Chantelle Simone. When you think about femininity, when you were growing up as a woman, when you were in Jamaica, did you see it, or you rarely saw femininity in your opinion?
What? I did not see femininity. And thank you, Tim. But I did not. What? No, I did not see femininity. And I did not see femininity at all. Like, if we know anything about Jamaican women, they're not feminine. And that's a misconception a lot of people have when they hear my channel. When they come over my channel, they think that I am like this because I'm Jamaican. I'm feminine because I'm Jamaican. But if you ever walk the streets of New York and just witness the Jamaican woman, they're like, no, very aggressive. And it's no shade to my Jamaicans, but we're calling a spade a spade. Very aggressive, very loud, very just masculine. As I said, it's common in our culture to be strong. A woman to be the head of the household. You see, more than likely see the woman being the head of the household, and you'll see the more passive men. The only difference in the culture is that we needed those two to pay the bills and stuff. So, but I did not see femininity growing up. I wasn't raised by my parents. So the woman, my aunt who raised me, she was the strong, go out work. She had her husband who he worked too, but he was the more passive. She was the one to do the discipline. She was the one to make the decision. She was just like, for lack of better words, the hard one in the household, while he was more like the passive one, like, oh, he'll be here or then he will not, just like he's not really seeing much. So yeah, growing up, I did not see femininity. I think I dated someone once, and he mentioned that he admired my feminine energy, and I had to Google what he was talking about because I did not know. But I guess he just meant that I'm not combative, like I'm not loud, I'm not aggressive. So I think that's what he meant when he said that. But yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting because I've always thought that Jamaican men exuded a level of masculinity. Would you say that passivity was only seen in your home, Or would you say the passivity is more or less circuitous in the island of Jamaica?
So in the Jamaican household, there are not the household, but in Jamaica in general, there are a lot of aggressive Jamaican women, right? So we know that attract the passive men. So if you see households with the two, it's more than likely it will be a passive man. However, you do have the assertive masculine men. More than likely, you'll find them single.
Wow. You know, we talk about the evolution of Chantelle Simone. When you think about who you are as a woman and your evolution, what does the evolution of Chantelle Simone mean to you? And how has it made you a better woman overall?
I want to answer Phil's question. I saw you ask it twice. I'm from Kingston. So. But the evolution. So for me, it's just understanding and admitting my mistake. Honestly, I don't think I went out and did anything grand. As I said, it started with me with my fitness, and then as I went on, I questioned everything, and this is something I don't share a lot. I questioned everything in my life. I was raised in the church, very Christian. Got baptized at I think 13, water baptism, very straight and narrow. Don't look right, don't look left, don't ask any questions. And when I got to around 25, hey Cam, when I got to 25, I think I guess you would call it a quarter life crisis, when I started asking okay, what's the purpose of life? What am I doing here? Why, and it's so funny because I know Kevin Samuels talk a lot about when Black women reach that fork in the road, they tend to go back to school. And that's what I did. I went back to school to get my master's degree when I was asking those hard questions. What was my purpose of life? Now, in looking back, I know that it was my nurture versus nature fighting. I knew that it was my bio clock at 25 telling me, okay, it's time, probably start looking to have kids, to get married at the time, because I was just so flooded with get your education, girl, be independent. I thought the answer was going back to school. So that's why I talk a lot about regretting my master's degree. But I started asking the question, and I even started questioning my religion and just questioning things that they told me, do this and don't ask any question, which was go to school, be independent and don't ask any question. I started questioning that too. What if I want a husband, what does that dynamic look like? Is it just both of us just living together and paying the bills and raising the kids? Or do I have roles? Do I have responsibility? And then that's when you'll say the evolution started by me just questioning. And as I said, it's the same thing with my religion, started questioning okay, well, if I'm a Christian and I pray to Jesus and then somebody over there pray to Allah and or prayer still get answered, what does that mean? So I was just questioning everything.
Right. You went through what's called an existentialist crisis. Normally it happens to people in midlife, but an existentialist crisis is normally tied to something painful that causes that person to look within themselves and ask themselves the question, why am I here? What's my purpose? You call it a quarter crisis.
and which reminds me too. So I started questioning those things in 2016, July, my birthday, my 25th birthday of 2016. And then my aunt who raised me passed away in May of 2017. So that's when the questions start. The questions were a little bit in 2017, but then that's when the questions started coming even harder in 2017. So yes, in going through that crisis of having to deal with, she was the first person who ever passed away that I'm close to. So, and having to deal with that really brought up some more of the questions and looking within.
No doubt. Shout out to my man, Jazzman. I don't know what that is. Jazzman 803 for the $5 super sticker. Thank you, sir, for that.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
$5 super sticker. I really appreciate that.
Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Thank you for putting some money on that super sticker as we continue this discussion. And guys, if you have not donated, donate. If you don't have anything to donate, share the content as we continue to have this discussion. You talk about the differences, or what I call the dichotomy between Jamaica and America. Would you say that the Jamaican culture is more stable as it relates to family, or do you feel that it's just as dysfunction as the ADOS American culture, in your opinion?
I think it's more stable because you would see more two-parent households. Like you would see a household with a male and a female in it, but not because you have two parents in a household doesn't mean that it's functional.
Right.
So yeah. Or and then even if it's not like a male and female, we have something in Jamaica called tenement yard, where you have multiple people of the same family living in the same house. So it's more, as I said, it's more for financial reasons. It's more for, okay, you pay the lights, I pay the water, as opposed to like, okay, we're going to be raising the kids together. We're going to show them the dynamic and show them the roles.
Right. More like a functional relationship instead of a comprehensive relationship where it's genuine love. It's really a love or relationship out of survival and necessity.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Right. You talk about, your faith, how did faith play an essential role in you becoming the woman that you are? Because if you think about it, you would think that, your elders read you the Bible about submission and loving your husband. But it appears, Ms. Simone, that many call themselves women of faith, but they don't always live out the dictates or the mandates of the gospel. How would you like to respond to that?
It's so funny because it's all tied in one. So when I think back on my life, I think of everything as just like one. Because in the questioning, okay, what's my purpose? Why am I here? And I started questioning what's my role in a relationship should look like. I started also questioning my religion, as I said. And when I was a strong in the church Christian, I wasn't taught the skills of, okay, be a wife and submit. And my church pushed going to school, getting education, no emphasis on submitting. The only advice I got when it comes to dating is that sex is better in a marriage. That's the only advice I remember getting from a church member. And I was in church from like 9 to 15 when I moved to America. So, for 6 years, the formative years when you were supposed to be teaching me about submission and allowing the man to lead and my role as a wife, I was told to go to school, get your education, don't look at boys. It did a huge disservice, which my heart, it breaks when I witness churches, contributing to this whole division. Because, as a church, that's your job to peer people up. But when I started questioning my religion and started leaning more towards a spirituality kind of thinking, I started questioning too the roles of the feminine, the roles of the masculine, and that's when everything started unraveling. Because in learning about spirituality, so my church advised me to not look that direction. So when I started looking in that direction, I started learning about the yin to the yang, the masculine to the feminine, that both energy complements each other. In that learning and in that understanding kind of made me understood my role as a wife more than when I was in the church reading my Bible every Sunday and Saturday.
Our backgrounds are actually similar. I think that there's credence in the gospel if you apply it correctly. The sad thing is that many don't apply it correctly. The answers are in the book, but many times the teachers do not know how to more or less give the answers that's in the book, which in essence at times calls me to question my faith too, because I grew up, I'm very traditional, very conservative, grew up in the church just like yourself, like Pentecostal, Church of God in Christ. And, as I got older, it caused me to question some aspects of the faith, but I never saw the gospel as being wrong. I just saw this ignorance from the people that were teaching it. But I never had an issue with the actual orthodoxy of the gospel itself. But when you think about masculinity, Miss Simone, what does a masculine man mean to you? When you think about, I know they're all alleles, but but what does a masculine man mean to you, Chantel?
I want to insert something before I answer that. I still refer to the Bible. That's something I grew up on. So I still do refer to the Bible and Christian teaching as, okay, this is how the household is going to look. This is, certain rules, for lack of better words. But as you said, and as the comment says, it's not the Christianity within itself, but it's the people in the church not teaching that and not using the tools effectively. But what masculinity means to me, for me, it's a decision maker, a guy who is assertive and can make a decision, like not neglecting my feelings 100%, but not putting my feelings above the best decision,
Right.
the logical decision. And we all know, I know a lot of women hate this, but we all know the feminine energy is more the nurturing, more the emotional side. The male energy is more the logical thinking, like, okay, he thinks ahead, he knows how to solve problems. So that's the biggest thing for me with masculinity, just the ability to solve problems, the ability to make a decision without being too emotional or having emotions be the forefront.
No doubt. Shout out to my man, what's his name, Solar Mike, for that subscription. Thank you, brother. I'm honored that you subscribe to my channel. As the Exalted Lioness and I continue to have this discussion, Chantel gonna be using that. Make sure you give me copyright. She's gonna talk about I'm the Exalted Lioness. See, Amira, he gave me the Exalted Lioness.
I'll give you the copyright.
Just give me royalties on it. But when I think about you, Chantel, and your evolution, I'm very creative, and so I said, what can I do to encapsulate Chantelle Simone? So I said, I tried. I cried, I became. When you think about the things that you tried to do, I want you to come up with at least if you can, 5 things that you tried to do as a woman to get the kind of man that you wanted, but you fail epically every time. So starting with the first thing, what did Chantelle Simone try to do in order to get the right man that she wanted in a relationship?
So first thing, the biggest thing that a lot of women do is lead with your success. Led with my education. As I said, I went up to the master's level, and I thought that was, like, that's the ticket into getting to the kind of man that I want. Right. Being independent. The other day, like 2 weeks now, we talked about the difference between self-sufficiency and independence. So that's number 2. So one is to get educated. Number 2 is to educate. Oh, my independence. So I was independent. I had my own place. I had my own car. I had my own job. Things that a basic adult's supposed to have. But me thinking that, okay, yeah, this is gonna set me above. This is gonna set me above other women in the market, in the dating market. Only thing that caused me to do is to attract men who wanted to stay at my house, who wanted to drive my car, who just didn't want to do anything. Right. So in looking back, it's like, that was pretty dumb. The third thing, the biggest fail, is to think that, okay, I'm the prize. As I said earlier, there's a lot of advice on what a man's supposed to do, how a man is supposed to treat you. He's supposed to buy you flowers, and he's supposed to take you out, and he's supposed to open the car door. But there's no information on, okay, how do I make this man feel loved? How do I reciprocate? So on the first date, he buy me flowers. What can I do? And at the time, I wasn't entertaining that. And that question is what made me actually start looking deeper into what men want. And I stumbled on the Black manosphere. Because at the time I was dating, and like a guy would bring me flowers on the first date, and I'm like, oh, thanks. And it's like, how do I reciprocate? Like, I don't know how to reciprocate. I think that's 4. And 5, I think it ties into 4, but it's just not caring about what men want. Like I was just literally there at the table, and it's just like logically, it just didn't make any sense. So I talk a lot about when I started dating, I didn't get any advice from my parents. I didn't get any advice from the church. So when after college, after undergrad, and I went out to start dating, I turned to YouTube for some dating advice, and I ran into Derek Jackson. Now, if anybody know Derek Jackson, you know he's not he's not the one to get
Simp.
successful. Exactly. So I ran into Derek Jackson, and I was a Derek Jackson supporter for a while. I didn't buy any of his books. I didn't, attend any of his conferences, but I would binge watch his videos. And it just didn't sit right with me because he kept on putting me in the victim chair, right? When I know that I wasn't perfect, I know that I had some shortcoming, I had some downfall. And it's just like, I think, as I said, it comes to it goes back to humbling yourself and acknowledging that you're not perfect and asking, okay, what can I do? How can I better myself? So those are the 5 things.
Well, it's so powerful that you're beginning to evolve from what Paul said, thorn in his side to a beautiful flower now. And it's good because so many men, Chantelle, want to get married. So many men want wives, but some will see you as an uncovered gem that's rare. How would you like to add to that?
I don't know. I had Rebecca Barrett on my show on Sunday, and she mentioned that she thought self-awareness was common. She thought that's something that everybody did. And in her saying that, it made me realize that sitting down, looking in the mirror and saying, I am the reason for my undesirable dating patterns. I am the reason for my life being like this, why I'm 30 and not married. I am the reason. It's nobody else but me. It's a hard pill to swallow, and a lot of women aren't willing to even admit that, much less to do the work. And I would agree. Unfortunately, I hate to sound cocky or arrogant, but I would agree that it's rare. You know, like the kind of like, I hate to say it, but in just witnessing my analytics, the ratio to men to women on my page, and if you do see a woman over there, more than likely she's leaving a pick me comment. It's like, damn, sis. And then even seeing people in my personal life, like, I started keeping my friends at arm's length, because it's like, okay, we're in a new year, 2022, but we still complaining about the same thing we were complaining about in college, how these men aren't stepping up and these men aren't doing this. Is like, at what point are we going to look in the mirror and ask? So again, shout out to Rebecca. She's the one who pointed out that self-awareness is not common, and everybody don't do that. And
the crazy thing is, Miss Simone, is that actually a pygmy is a compliment. Some say it is something negative, but I'm going to do a show in the future called "Your Grandmom Was a Pygmy Too," because women understood that in order to get a quality man, you had to bring some redeeming value to the relationship. And I did a show in the past, Chantel, called "Return of the Prize Catcher." And that basically means that the man sets the bar and the template for what he wants in the relationship because he takes the greatest risk. It would be argued that only American men don't more or less set standards as it relates to what they want in a woman, and they more or less tolerate behavior that's not beneficial to the man. I've always told men in the past, Miss Simone, that she only respects power and strength. And many times men in America defer power instead of demanding power. In a relationship must be a symbiosis where you benefit, where she benefit. I'm the crocodile, you're the little bird. So when I open my mouth up, I said, pick out the parasites. But I promise I won't eat you alive while you're getting the parasites, because you're benefiting me, I'm benefiting you. You're watching my 6, I'm watching your 6. It's a relationship where both benefit. But so many men have been conditioned to defer their power because they see her as the prize without making her earn anything in the relationship, which in essence makes them renderless in the relationship coming in. What's your take on that?
I can say this a million times. We don't like simps. We don't like those men who will just cater to us. Those baby face, wash your, what? I'll cook for you as soon as I get home from work. We don't like that, right?
Don't like it, right?
We don't. And I can share my stories, and I know a lot of people gonna judge me, but this was before, right? This was my lack of knowledge days, when the men that I was dating, I would not reciprocate anything at all. Like, I would not even, I would just not care, and they would continue to court me. They'll continue to buy flowers to just offer me and then treat me like a queen when I'm just sitting there like, oh, okay. Not because I didn't want to, but it was because of lack of knowledge. But then also too, because they were simps. And the more I disrespected them, the more I talk to them or raise my voice at them, or just have this. My flaw, and I know my flaw is that I'm very passive aggressive. Like I'm very like if I'm upset, back in the days, if I'm upset, I just wouldn't talk, and it would be straight attitude, right? My Kingston 20 self would come out, my Jamaican self would come out. It's just straight attitude, and those kind of men will just put up with that. And in looking back, and the men that I date now, I know I couldn't even think to bring that attitude to them without them saying, okay, this is it, this is done. So yeah, this whole simp-like behavior, this whole, oh, I'm gonna just go above and beyond for her until eventually, because we have that narrative in the movies. You see the girl is straight attitude and she's mean to him first, and then he tries and tries and tries, and then eventually she gives in, and then they live happily ever after. Like, no, if she doesn't respect you on the first initial meeting, don't pursue her. Don't try to overcompensate with flowers and calling her and texting her every minute. No, the more you do that, the less respect she's going to have for you.
Exactly. Barry Hamilton said, Chantel, that Jamaican women don't joke. Uptown women are more feminine, though. How would you like to add clarity to that? What does that mean to you?
So uptown women mean, I mentioned before that we don't have racism, we have classism in Jamaica. So uptown women mean like the higher class women, which they are more feminine. Of course, if you think about it, they have the resources, they have the, they more than likely had the two-parent, had the dynamic. Their mom didn't have to go out and work as hard as the lower class, the middle class family had to. They are more feminine in that sense. However, they're more Americanized. So when they, whatever the American culture is adopting, whatever the American culture is doing, they tend to take it on. So that, Barry, I would kind of give some pushback on that in terms of like, they're being influenced by the American culture. But yes, it's true. They're less aggressive. They're less boisterous than the and I mean, there's a difference between, for the Jamaicans in the chat, there's a difference between a immaculate girl and a Merle Grove girl. Immaculate is a school that a lot of the uptown girls went to, and Merle Grove is a school that a lot of the middle to lower class girl went to. So just a difference in their behavior and how they carry themselves. Right.
When it comes down to you, when God bless you with your husband at some point, does class and status matter to you? Because you deal with a blue collar guy, around the way guy, you're an educated woman, but if a guy's a blue collar guy, he's a good man. Is that okay?
Yeah, most definitely. And funny enough, someone asked me that question the other day. I don't discriminate when it comes to that. I guess because how I was raised, I wasn't raised in the top notch. I was not uptown at all. A lot of people will hear me talk and think that I'm from uptown, but I'm not. I was not. So I don't I wouldn't look at that. I know a lot of, with the rise of Kevin Samuels, a lot of women want that 6-figure earner. But I think the lack of knowledge, the lack of logic shows up when we think of those, when we have those conversations. Because if I'm making 50K and he's making 50K, then that's a 6-figure household. But a lot of these women don't want to look at it like that. They want a man to be the 6-figure earner, and then they'll just come. But when it comes to career and white collar versus blue collar, as long as he's a good leader and he makes great decisions, I'm fine with that.
So you could date a man that's making $30,000 as long as he's a good man.
As long as he's a good leader and he makes good decisions, and I can come to him with a problem and he can say, hey, this is how we solve it. And I'll be like, okay.
You're funny. Shout out to my man Andrew. I'm looking for that $20 super sticker supporting the channel.
That's a deal, right?
Shout out to my man Andrew Baker as he support the channel and the platform. And thank you guys for listening. This is a very good conversation. Chantelle is a very cool young lady. I love her energy. I love her pizzazz. She more or less personifies feminine virtue. I think she's very genuine. I think she was sabotaged, like a lot of women have been sabotaged about what men want in relationships. And it appears that Chantelle has come to have had her Apostle Paul experience, where she's seen the light. So when you think about your Apostle Paul experience, Chantelle, when you try to shed the light to a lot of your sisters, why do you think there's so much vitriol towards you and trying to understand what men want in relationships?
Okay, so when I came to the light, and that will even piggyback on my last answer to the 30,000 a year guy. When I came to the light, it wasn't because I was sitting here one day and said, "Oh, let me walk in that light." I had a lot of trauma that happened in my life.
Right.
The aunt who raised me passed away, then my mom passed away, then my uncle passed away, then my aunt, it passed away back to back. And in being the now adult, in the family, it's like, dang, a man who can make a good decision, a man who is assertive, a man who knows how to lead would be helpful in this situation. And the one man that I had, my uncle, he left us, right? So when I see women who focus so much on how much he's making, or if he's making 40K or 30K, I can't date him, even though he is a good decision maker, even though he can help you in certain situations, even though he can help you out in certain situations. It just shows that you haven't been through a lot of things. And I acknowledge and notice that I have been through more than the average person would go through at 30, where each person that I considered a parental figure, after each of them passed away, another one passed away, like back to back. So I realized that, okay, there's no more emergency contact. There's no more body to, no one left to put on my emergency contact. So let me not focus too much on if he makes 30K a year, and focus more on, is he a reliable person?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, Rick Scorpio said he don't believe you think you would accept a man that makes $30,000 a year. How would you respond to that?
I mean, I just did. As I said, right? When you've experienced life how I've experienced it, there's certain things that you don't dwell on. So I would much rather date a guy who makes 30K a year but is a good decision maker, than a guy who makes 100K a year and then I'm still the one who have to decide, okay, how am I going to deal with this trauma, or how am I going to change this tire? Like, that's my thing. I'm not changing no tire, right? So a lot of these women are running after these men who make 60K or above 50K without asking what is his character, like, is he a good decision maker, is he a good leader, those things. So 100%, if you put two men in front of me right now, and one makes 6K, over six figures, and one makes 30K a year, but the 30K a year one is a good decision maker and a good leader, 100%.
100%. Right. There was a song back in the day, Chantel, called "Stand by Your Man" by Loretta Lynn, and we're gonna get into that in a minute, because I'm gonna put you on the Leo hot seat. We're gonna purify you on the night, because we're gonna purify you, because I got some fire for your mind.
Fire.
We're gonna purify Miss Chantel, because we want to make sure she don't have any schema afflictions when it comes down to dating and relationships. And you've done a very great job answering the questions. But do you believe, and maybe you've answered it, Chantel, more or less, but do you believe that your Jamaican roots sabotaged you to some degree? And I think you've answered it more or less. But when you look at the greater kaleidoscope of Jamaica, do you believe that your Jamaican roots? So put it this way: what is something that's so embedded in your Jamaican roots, minus the education, minus going to school? What's something so embedded in Jamaica that more or less you feel like that sabotage you the most, minus religion, minus education, in your opinion?
I would say that a lot of us, we were raised to be strong. We were raised to be aggressive and masculine and work the field and, walk to the river to get the water and walk with a bucket on your head. And, like, I think, which I mean, like, I wouldn't say it's specific to Jamaica, because I know a lot of, a lot of African Americans, especially in the South, their grandmother tell them those stories too, how many miles you had to walk for school. So I don't think there's anything specific about my culture that would say sabotage me. There's nothing I can think about, at least.
Okay, powerful, powerful, powerful. It takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing, and we're going to get to that at some point. But I asked you earlier about how you tried. When you think about liberal indoctrination, when you think about feminism, how do you think feminism and more or less modern education shaped your psyche as a woman? Can you remember one thing that you learned in academia, minus your upbringing from Jamaican culture, that more or less got you cemented in that thinking era that you had of the minimization of the man and the magnification of your own importance?
So, okay, I thought you were gonna ask more. That's an interesting question. So they started in a school system. The feminist movement did in infiltrate the school system. I went to an all girls school in Jamaica, and there are some pros and there are some cons to that because um being surrounded by women, it was an all girls school, and of course, majority female teachers and stuff. It was kind of like the girl power, like the Wonder Woman kind of upbringing. The So that's the con. The pros, of course, is like they try to teach us how to be ladylike and home ec and stuff like that. Um, so I would say maybe that kind of influenced it, being surrounded by a bunch of females. But I was in Jamaica when I was in the 10th grade, the spring of my 10th grade year. I moved to America, and that's when I got introduced to a lot of the liberal arts, like the woman. What There's a womanist class. I don't remember what it's called, like woman something. Um, where you see they try to in the syllabus they did put some feminist movement agenda, and then to knock it over, when I went to college, I was a liberal arts major, and we had to, yeah, women's studies. Thanks, Jenny. I had to take a lot of women's studies class, and I think it was, so the story about the frog in the water. When if you want to kill a frog, you put him in lukewarm water and then you slowly turn it up, because if you drop him in the boiling water, he's going to hop out. So
Right.
I think that's what it is. Like they kind of put us in the lukewarm water and then slowly turn it up, where eventually it's now like, okay, girl power, let's try to overpower men. So that's how they, so it's, unless you sit there and say, wait, this water is getting a little hot, you won't realize it. And then because so many people like surrounding your community, as the feminine energy, we tend to be in communities, we tend to be in packs and stuff. So because all the girls are doing the same thing, and all the girls that we sit down on girl nights and we sit and talk in our echo chamber, we're not really outside hearing what the men are saying. So I think school definitely, especially college, oh gosh, especially college, school definitely played a major part in our feminist mindset.
Right. And I've always said that, men more or less did not create the issues that we see as it relates to policies impacting our women. I think a lot of our women were compromised, to say the least, because they tend to equivocate domestic issues with policies. Policies are more powerful than domestic issues that are endemic to all ethnic groups. Some of the same things that you went through in Jamaica and saw your grandmothers go through, all ethnic groups go through that, whether it be Latin culture, white culture, Indian culture, they all go through domestic issues. But somehow, those men were always seen as the linchpin for abuse, not taking care of their kids, and walking out on their women. And I think that's no further from the truth. Once again, to the 48 that are listening, please share the content. Go check out my dear friend, the exalted lioness, Miss Chantelle Simone. She's gonna be putting that as a copyright. And guys, if you have not donated, donate to the channel. Hit Cash App $7 Smalls as we bring these timely conversations to you guys, because there's a remnant of women that I call uncovered gems. Why do you see yourself, Chantel, as a uncovered gem?
Again, because I don't know, because
She's
of
not sure.
that willingness to self-reflect, right, and to take accountability, and to not only do that but to be open with it. I don't know where I got that bravery from. I'm not brave in anywhere else in my life, right? My sister been trying to get me to do skydiving, and that's not happening at all. Like, I can't jump off a cliff. Like, I'm not brave at all. So I don't know where I got this bravery to share my story, but I just feel like there's a need for it. And one pushback that I'll get a lot, especially from men in the manosphere, is that, oh, it's usually when women hit the wall or post 30, that's when they realize and it's too late or whatever. My concern is not if I was to get married or have kids. My concern is that I see where I was lied to.
Right.
And I was not, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a go to school, get your education, or learn how to be a wife. I did not have that choice. I thought it was just go to school, get your education. Because my first dating advice from I was can remember, right? The first time you can remember a memory was don't focus on a boy, get your education. Education is the key to success. Men are irrelevant. Put men on the back burner. So it's to just use my platform to give women a choice. I'm not saying go this way. I'm not saying that way is 100% bad. Is that you have an option. You don't have to be this strong, independent woman.
Right. Do you feel that there's a crisis in manhood? My channel more or less focuses on something called the Manhood Chronicles. And the Manhood Chronicles is the time where men come together to share their story and pain. And we're going to look at some of your content in a minute, but is there a crisis in manhood in America and European?
Yeah. In on towards men or in within men?
Both.
I think there's I think I would say both. I think the only men that black, especially let's focus on the black community. The only men that black women want to hear anything from is the homosexuals or the simps, right? A man, an assertive man like yourself, assertive man like let's use Kevin Samuels. Look how they attacked Kevin Samuels. If they're not saying anything that's in their favor, they don't want to hear it. And it affects men. My heart goes out to boys who are witnessing these things, who are witnessing how, okay, if I'm too assertive, then the female in my group aren't going to want me. If I'm too strong and masculine, then they're going to call me toxic.
Right.
And then we continue to complain that our men aren't protecting us, but then we continue to raise these passive men who can't protect a fly, right? So it's like there is an attack. I don't think that there's anything I can do in my power to change it, or anybody. I don't think there's anything on an individual basis. I always say, and it sounds selfish, but I always said I'm just focusing on myself. I'm focusing on my household, how I can better myself. So, when I do get married, how I can be of best quality and pass this on to my children. If anybody want to hear the message, they hear the message, but I'm not trying to change anybody's mind.
Yes, ma'am. I agree with you. The gospel said you got to save yourself. And so I applaud you for trying to save yourself. Chantelle Simone cried. When you go back and look at the times in your life where I tried, I cried, I became. Let's talk about the 5 times where you really begin to cry and you begin to say, DAM, when am I going to ever get out of this psychic karma that I'm in as a woman?
So just the time I cried, in terms of cried when I realized that my life isn't going how I wanted it to.
It could have been a myriad of events, not just a one-time thing, but many times you can look at various instances in your life when Chantelle cried. But mine is losing loved ones. The 5 times that you cried where you said, wow, I got to make some changes.
I have more than 5, but
okay, but give me all of them. Give me all of them. Give me all of them.
I can just think of times when I have to make hard decisions on my own. When I don't want to go in my personal life.
Right, you don't have to. Yeah,
it wasn't like when I lost loved ones. It wasn't just they got sick and died. It was traumatic events, and then having to deal with that on my own. Having to make decisions that, again, as I say, we're more emotional, men are more logical, men tend to think more far out than we do. In having to make some hard decision on my own was just like I know I was going against nature. I know I wasn't built for this. And then having to this front that I was putting on social media. I own a business, so I'm a personal trainer, and I own an LLC where I do fitness and personal training and stuff.
Right.
This front that I was putting on social media, where I'm this strong woman that's own a business and have education and all these things, but the main thing I really wanted was partnership, companionship, starting a family. And like I look around and I saw that it was, I mean, on social media, we all know that's not true, but you scroll on social media and everybody is like, black love and this and this, and it's like, well, am I that ugly? Like, and then I'll get people ask like, oh, why are you single? I'm like, I don't know. Because, if you're going to say, oh, I'm attractive, and you're going to say, oh, I have a nice personality, then what is the reason why I'm single? And like, in just not knowing that, and people would ask that question thinking it's a compliment, or thinking like, I should feel good about myself, but really and truly, I don't know. So in knowing that, okay, I wanted to be married by the time I'm 27, and then seeing 27 come up, and that was nowhere close. And then, 28 came, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? It really got me to a point where I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Am I not doing something right? So yeah, I would say, I think that's 5.
Okay, great. If you want to elaborate on more, you can. But the good thing is that you're beginning to evolve. You have began to evolve. And that evolution has been good, not only for you, but it's other women that are listening to you, women that think the way you think. I think it's a remnant. I don't think the numbers are huge, but there is a remnant of women that thinks like you. I mean, you see the women in the comments. I think you guys are like a little small army, going against the masses. But when you take on these, what I call Herculean tasks, of more or less proclaiming what you think is vital for relationships and what men need, what do you think you found the inner courage and the strength to do it?
The task, what task? To come onto YouTube and talk, or just
yes. The task to come on the YouTube and talk, the task to put yourself out there, knowing that you can be eaten alive by sharks many times.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, honestly, I don't know where I find the strength. As I said, I think like I see the feminist movement as like a bully, and they're just bullying younger girls, and like the sisterhood. Oh my gosh, Black women can be such bullies at times, and the fact that my first video where I got called all these names and pick-me's and stuff was a video I did on the law of attraction, and I was talking about how our masculine energy and feminine energy, and how we can love the masculine energy. The masculine energy feels love when he feels needed, and that got so many pick-me comments, and I'm like what and the more I got those comments, the more I pushed back, the more I put out content, because it's like, one, why are you so hurt to want your man to feel loved?
Right.
Like, what what's that disconnect there? And just in putting out, like, the more negative comments I get, the more I know, like, okay, yeah, this needs to be heard. And I think that's, I mean, it's not all roses and butterflies at all times. As I said, there's heat from both sides. There are men in the Black manosphere that's just like, wow. And then, there are women who are just like, oh my gosh. Like, so there's he and her and pain on both sides. But I think that's where I get the courage from. Like, just, and then in looking at my younger self, this is things I wish I knew. Oh my gosh, if I could go back to 17, right before I started college, and just know what I know now, my life would have been 100% different. So I think that's the motivation.
And I think that's excellent that you have that level of self-awareness to do the work, Ms. Simone, to get the outcomes that you want as it relates to moving forward. So we're looking at the evolution of Chantelle Simone. I tried, I cried, I became. We're going to talk about I became. But in the meantime, ladies and gents, get the likes up. If you lovely, beautiful women have not shared, share the content, men and women. If you have not donated, donate to this show. Donate to Cash App, $7 Smalls. Chantelle, you and I are both content creators. I don't think people understand the amount of time that we put through in developing content, and how tough it is, how mentally draining that it is. Tell the audience how hard it is in making content and the amount of time it takes to get production out, because I don't think people realize it.
It is so frustrating. Oh my gosh. So the other day I made a video, and when I went to edit the video, my audio wasn't on at all. The whole video. And it's like, oh my God. It is time consuming. And then you want your stuff to not be to be informative, but to also be entertaining. And then you want the attraction. Like, it is a lot of work doing content creation. And then on top of that, after you work so hard on the content and you put it out, then you get a lot of negative. Not a lot, like a few. There are majority positive comments than negative, so I hate to focus on the negative comments. But we're human, and we could get 100 compliments, and then you get one negative comment, and that one negative comment keep you up at night.
That's that Leo ego. Don't feel bad. I'm the same way. You and I Leos, we got them Leo egos, man. We'll focus on one compliment. Called catastrophizing. It's a thinking area. It's a thinking area. You got to consider me for non-clinical diagnostic consultation. But it's a thinking area. I do the same thing, so don't feel bad. Leos are ego sensitive. We struggle with that. And because we see ourselves as being the grand dim. And so we struggle with it because we have very big egos. But it's not necessarily a bad way. Leos are very kind. We have some of the biggest hearts in the world. It ain't nothing we won't do for the people that we love and care about. Would you not agree with that?
Oh, I agree. Completely agree. And that's why, I don't even try to focus, because I see my pick me's in the chat. Shout out to Sandra, and I saw Jenny in the chat. Thank you so much for coming over. My fellow pick me, team pick me's. So, I like to mention the negative comments, it's unfair, because I get more love. And I say I'm talking to women on my channel. Like, even though over 80% of my subscribers are male, I still appreciate, I still appreciate the woman that I have over, and we share our story, and it feels as though you're not alone in this journey. Oh, you did that too. I went through that too. And the more I see, because even on my last video, a young lady who's also Jamaican, or her parents are Jamaican, and she mentioned that she was raised to be all independent and strong, and to have women, we can talk about that. Like, okay, I didn't go through this by myself. It wasn't just me. I wasn't the only one who made this mistake. It warms my heart to be able to have these conversations. So I hate to just focus on the negative ones, but they exist. They exist.
Well, listen, Team Pick Me and all my fellow soldiers, y'all share this show, share this content, because Chantel is dropping some very vital gems. So, like I'm Optimus Prime, I'm Optimus Prime. Team Pick Me, transform. So share this content with as many people as you can, because it's a Team Pick Me. Because we need to get the message out. There are a lot of women that are suffering in silence too, Chantel, like many men suffer in silence. And you and I have the intestinal fortitude to speak truth to power, to give the men the outcomes that they want, but also you being an exemplar, giving the women the outcomes they want as well. And so shout out to you. But in the meantime, shout out to my man Mooing36. Hold tight. His name is Mooing. For the $9 super sticker. And also, thank you, dear Camara, for the $4 super sticker. Thank you, guys.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal,
shout out to my man Moore, no doubt.
Cam is a fellow pick me.
Listen, the men that are listening love pick me's, because if you want to get the ring, you got to be wife ready and wife worthy. Let me ask you a question. What does it mean to be a wife in your best estimation? Then we're going to get to the point how you became. But what does it mean to be a wife? There are men that are listening to what you're saying. And, if a man got Chantelle Simone as a wife, what will he be getting as you more or less break down what it means to you to be a wife?
So in general, not Chantelle Simone, but in general, I think being a wife is just, it's just being supportive. And, I think unfortunately we misinterpret support. In the Black community, we think being supportive is telling the man what to do, when honestly supportive is honestly just being quiet, just sitting there and just, as you say, have his six. Like, sometimes just saying yes. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it means to be a wife, because we all know you can't have two bull in a pen, you can't have two chefs in the kitchen. And I think the role of a wife is the one to fall back to clean up for okay. So being into real estate and doing renovation and stuff, I'm not the one drilling the hammer, but I'm the one that's cleaning up the mess that falls on the floor from. If you think about it like that, so I think that's the role of a wife. I think that's what it means to be a wife, to be more supportive and just taking care of the other side of business.
What do you tell young women? When even though I know you're not married, it's your desire to get married, have a family one day. But what do you tell other women, Chantel, about marriage and relationships as it comes down to duty? There's a duty to serve in relationships, and when you think about that, what does duty mean to you in a relationship?
I think duty is doing what you are doing, doing what you say you're doing. And it's so funny because in my relationship, it took a lot of humility to realize my roles. Not even realize my roles, but to say it is one thing, but to actually be in it is one thing. And I think that this is where a lot of women fall short, because our roles, the wash, cook, clean, that's something we do every day. But
Right.
our men roles, the cutting the lawn, changing the tire, taking care of the plumbing, I don't know what men do, I think that's something that they do only once in a while, right? So because we do the wash, cook, clean every day, it seems as though we're doing more than our men. And that's something I came to realize, being in a relationship that mimicked what my role would be in a marriage, because I'm fully in support of treating your boyfriend like husband. He get giving your boyfriend husband privileges, because how else will he know what you're going to be like as a wife? So in doing my potential wife duties, I'm realizing that, okay, these are something that I'm going to do every day, but his duty is something that he does once in a while, but they are significant and they are major. And I think that's the disconnect, because so many women saw their grandma doing the daily duties, they
Right.
failed to realize that their grandpa was doing the major duties too.
Right. Because the thing I never understood is that they say, "Oh, cooking a meal makes you a slave," but you're going to cook anyway unless you're eating out every day. I never understood the foolishness, because cooking is just a basic duty. The man still has the greatest onus, Miss Simone, because if a person break into that house, women expect that man to go put his life on the line, to be a human shield and take a bullet. So regardless of a woman cook every day, that's really nothing compared to a man having to be a 24-hour security guard. At any point, he's expected to put his life on the line to defend his wife and to defend his children and to defend his family. Men die off early, Chantel, because of stress. Part of it because they don't take care of their diet. The diet is horrible. But also, Chantel, many men are dying off because they're dealing with cantankerous and contentious women, to the point that they don't want to come into the home because they're stressed out and they are scared that she's going to worry the hell out of them. So, they just stay in the car. Now, I would never tolerate that. I'm a man. I wish I would have a woman try that on me. But what's your take on that?
You're 100% true, and I think it's a lack of knowledge that a lot of us don't have, and it's no shade. We don't have it, myself included. Men have more logic than us, because if you think about it, a man, like, he can't ever have a fully peaceful sleep, because he has to be on his P's and Q's in case someone try to break in at night. When we over there knocked out, right? It's not our duty, it's not our responsibility to go and protect the house. It's not our responsibility to make sure that no one is breaking in. When we really think of it like that, I think then we'll start respecting men more and appreciating what they do for us. But just because our role, as I said, just because our role is something that you do every day and that you can see us doing, like the cleaning and the cooking, then we want a trophy for that. But I mean, hopefully my man don't have to use his role to fight the robber downstairs. Hopefully he will never have to do that. But we don't acknowledge and realize that, okay, if in the event he has to do that, then he's there for that.
I want you to talk about a time, Chantel, where you've used your femininity to more or less soothe the savage beast. When have you ever used your femininity? She said she don't know. When have you used your femininity to soothe the savage beast?
As in, like, I remember one time I used my femininity to get out of a speeding ticket. You're
funny.
I mean, no shame about it. Shoot, that
No
ticket would
doubt.
have been a fat ticket.
She said a fat ticket.
But I don't, again, because I'm not like confrontation, like getting arguments or getting like like debates, or be combative. I've never really been in a situation with like an angry angry person to have to use my femininity to soothe him. But like, again, too, because I am always like in my femininity, the anger doesn't come out, if that makes sense.
Right, right, right,
if,
right.
if it's a situation where he's specifically, if say he's angry or upset about work, or annoyed or had a long day, I find that a good head rub works. Nice pedicures, just doing something nice. Like, it doesn't really
Right.
take. It does not take as much as women. It doesn't take as much for men to be pleased as much as it does for women to be pleased. But yeah, I've never been in a situation where I had to like use my femininity to calm down any angers.
Right, 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 right. How should a woman inspire a man? Teddy Pendergrass say, "You inspire me." In your best estimation, based on what you've learned about yourself from doing the introspection, how should a woman inspire her man to be his best?
I think women, and this might just be I'm no expert, and I'm learning. I'm here to learn too. So, but I think women inspire men by being respectful. I think if a man knows that, listen, you are the head and you make the decision, and what you say go, and like, you are the head of the household, you are the one, you are the king. I think that he's inspired that way. I think men are wired to want to lead and want to be the head and want to make the decisions. So if a woman was to fall back and say, I trust you, I'm submitting to you, I think that within itself is inspiring.
Tim said a comment. We're gonna start singing that song by Keith Sweat called "Girl, You Got Me Twisted." But Tim is correct. He said, "For the woman is not of the man, but the woman. But for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman was created for the man." And that's why I tell men all the time, and I agree with that, Tim, 100%. The woman was made for man to help man meet his mission here on earth. Women are at their best when they come with a spirit of humility to serve their husbands. When she learns to serve him, guess what? He's going to turn her back around and serve you if he's a righteous man. We're not talking about Raekwon, Shermite, Day, and them. We're not talking about those kind of guys. We're talking about quality, good brothers that are hardworking men, have a heart of gold, because I keep telling women, a man will move mountains for a woman that got his six. A genuine woman, not fake, not somebody that's doing it because she's trying to get something out of the relationship. But I'm talking about a very genuine woman. A man will move mountains for that woman. A woman that's his cheerleader. Bone his bone, flesh of his flesh. Men need that in order to become better, because we deal with so many things outside of the world that when we come home, you're more or less taking years off that man's life because you're worrying the hell out of him. And, men, don't want to be stressed out. We die off early because of stress, because the masculine is doing and the feminine is being. And so when I was on your show, Chantel, I talked about a feminine oscillator. If you look at the thumbnail, I use perfume, and roses, to correlate what I think women should be as it relates to femininity. But when you think about being feminine and the art of perfume as an aphrodisiac, I want you to put that in more or less symbolic terms, why a woman should be a perfume for her man.
What do you mean? Rephrase that question.
So more or less, if you were a perfume, what would you call yourself as it relates to inspiring your man? I called you Chanel.
Jimmy Choo is my go-to.
Okay, Jimmy Choo. All right.
Okay, so and this is just coming to me again. I'm no expert, but perfume is just the additional. You can look good without a good perfume, but that good perfume is going to put you over the edge. I think that's what a woman is to her man. A man will be successful and he can be on his grind, he can move up in the company. But a good woman, a feminine woman who submits and is respectful, will put him over the edge. So that will come to mind when a woman being a perfume for her man. Because I mean, we all know, you're going out, you have on that nice black dress, that your waistline, because we work out, right? We have that waistline, but that nice perfume can just make the outfit like go over the edge. I think that's what a perfume, if you were to use that analogy.
Right. One of my favorites, I call her the spirit of the mongoose, Sweet Lulu Bean. Shout out to her, Sweet Lulu Bean. If she's in here, hopefully she'll come up and we'll have a good conversation. But when you think about foreign women compared to American women, I call Lulu Bean the spirit of the mongoose. What do you think about foreign women based on what you've seen? Like when you compare Jamaican women to American women, is there that much of a difference, or is this more similarities than differences?
So I think it depends. As we talked about earlier, when you go up in class. So if it's upper class, if it's like uptown girls, I think there's a similarity. But the lower you go in class, or if you go in like the countryside, I'm from Kingston, which is the town. But then if you go in the countryside where they might not have access to internet, or they might not have access to social media stuff, you will find more of the traditional, just like in America though. If you depending on where you are, any other country, depending on where you are. But as I said earlier, I see where the American mindset, the feminist movement, is affecting. And I mean, majority of my friends are Jamaican. So I still have friends from being in we call it primary school and high school in Jamaica. And a lot of them do have that, I don't need no man, I'm independent, I'm strong. So when I say like, I had to keep my friends at arm's length, I'm not talking about American friends. I'm talking about my Jamaican friends.
Jamaican friends, right.
Yeah. So a lot of people, and Jamaican friends, like living in Jamaican friends, like friends who are still in Jamaica. So a lot of people would think that, we don't have those problems there, but we do. There's not much big of a difference.
Of course, Benjamin Ho, that's that Leo swag. Of course, the Kosher Connection got some solid questions. That's what we do. We got the exalted lioness and old saber tooth. I'm breaking it down. So now we're going to get to the latter part. It's called How I Became. But before we talk about that, Chantel, I'm going to share a video of yours that I was looking at myself because I love your content.
Thank you.
And it's called, let me see, hold tight. Let me go to Chantelle Simone. And we're going to explore one of your latest videos called Loud and Wrong.
All right, check that out. Look how thin that is. It has been 1 month. Check out the result.
All right. So the title of this video is called Modern Women Are So Loud and Wrong. And Chantel, I think this goes back to what's called I Tried. I want you to parrot about how you try as it relates to some of these modern women. And then we're going to more or less break down your video. So I'm going to play it. And then we're going to talk about it, okay?
Okay.
Nothing to relationships. For centuries, decades, we've seen our grandmothers, our mothers, our great aunts give everything and get nothing. So for the first time in history, we're saying no. You don't get a free incubator. You don't get a free maid. You don't get a free chef. We're saying no, and y'all losing y'all fucking minds. No, ma'am.
I am just so tired of seeing these kind of videos. So many of us women are just so loud, and we're just wrong, and we just talk, and we get in our echo chamber, we get on these social media platforms, and we just talk. And because we have fellow women backing us up and saying, yes, sis, you tell them, we think that when we're talking, whatever we're saying is making sense, and we don't stop and think, wait, am I making logical sense here? Or am I just talking? It is your girl, Chantel. If you have not already, please go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button to help me grow my channel, and share this video with someone who you think may benefit from the conversation, because we're about to get into it. Instead of getting on these platforms and showing up our ignorance, we need to silence ourselves and just think, does this make logical sense? Because this clip Does not make any sense. But platforms after platforms continue to repost her, continue to share, and so many women have the same narrative. But how we modern day women aren't bringing anything to the table because our aunts and our moms and our grandmas had to suffer and they got nothing in return. When they got a whole entire plumber, they got a lawn maintenance man, they got private security, they got a decision maker. They got all these things, but it's just so convenient how we fail to highlight and acknowledge all the roles that our uncles and our fathers and our grandfathers did. But because our mom and grandma had to wash, cook, clean, and take care of the household, all of a sudden it's a big deal and she was a slave. Like, modern women, more specifically Black women, let us wake up. Let us start thinking about things logically. I use my channel to speak with women who want to be better and do better at relationships by understanding things from men's perspective. We brainstorm solutions over here and we review TikTok clips like this one to just analyze how much it does not make any logical sense. Because first of all, sis says that she saw her aunts and her moms and her grandmom work and got nothing in return. But what she failed to realize, her uncle, her dad, her granddad was out there cutting the lawn. He was out there protecting the household. He was out there providing. And he was doing all the roles that Black men were doing back in the days. So sis watched a couple Tyler Perry movies. She saw Waiting to Exhale. She saw The Color Purple.
All my life I had to fight.
And then said, oh no, men are like this, the patriarchy. So we're not going to do anything. We're not going to bring anything to a relationship, the healthy relationship that we claim we want, the Black love that we claim we want. We're not going to bring anything to that relationship. We're just going to be, because women back in the days that have nothing to do with us, the women on TV were oppressed. They were abused. We need to start thinking about this thing logically. And then she mentioned that men are now throwing a fit because modern women are deciding to bring nothing to the table. That's incorrect. Men are throwing a fit because even though modern women are saying and declaring loudly that they're not bringing anything to the table, they're still demanding a man to pay all the bills. They're still demanding the masculine role, the provider. How many times we hear Black women bawl about Black men not protecting us? So you want to bring nothing to the table. You don't want to reciprocate anything, but you want these men to protect you. You want these men to risk their life for you so they can offer you protection. Think about these things logically. We love to claim that we are the most educated group of women. We are the most educated, but when it comes to basic critical thinking skills, we get on platform and be so loud and incorrect with these kind of narrative. If you've made it this far in the video, might as well like the video. And if you like the video, you're going to like my other videos. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But don't forget to share this video with someone who you
I'm sorry. Oh my God, man. So that was a very good video. But when you think about yourself and your evolution, it appears that she, like so many modern women, are trying to become women, but they're really shooting themselves in the foot. Why was that video so important to you? And how did you try in the past but fail epically?
Well, that video is just it's obvious that she sits in her echo chamber and she doesn't think outside of what the fellow women are telling her, because those information, as I said in the video, incorrect. But we see this as a common narrative that women will just say, and everybody will jump on and say, yeah, this is it. It reminds me of when Kevin Samuel video first went viral and everybody was like, oh yeah, he hates Black women and he's this and that. And if you ask them, well, have you ever watched one of his videos? Like, no. So how do you know that he hates Black women? Is it because another woman told you he hates Black women, so you just adopted the narrative that he hates Black women? It's similar to this. And I think with me, what made me different, I asked the question. As I said, I got to an age where I questioned everything. I questioned my religion. I questioned my relationships. I questioned everything I was told, everything I was taught, all the echo chamber I was sitting in. I questioned it. And until we as women, until more of us starting start to question these things, we'll continue to believe that it was really how it was portrayed in The Color Purple, or, you know, Tyler Perry really have an accurate depiction of Black men.
When you think about the becoming of Chantelle Simone, I want you to talk about the 5 or more things that you had to become the 5 or more things that you had to become to get to the point where you're beginning to work on yourself, do the internal healing in the anticipation of getting a good man. You talked about in the past where you allow a man to drive your car and, pay bills and whatnot. I want you to talk about the becoming of Chantelle Simone as we look at your timely evolution as a woman.
Well, so for one, I had to become humble. I had to acknowledge that I did not know all the answer. And obviously, if I wasn't getting my desired results, then it's me. I'm responsible for my life, and I wasn't doing something right. So that takes a lot of humility, it's a huge pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's a huge pill to swallow, to just admit that I've been wrong all these years. The second thing, I had to remove my ego and ask the hard questions, especially from men. I'm living in a society and being the strong, independent woman who don't need a man for anything, to humble yourself and go to men and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? Again, that's another hard pill, huge pill that I had to swallow. So that's 2. I had to be willing to learn too. I had to be willing to reprogram, unlearn everything I thought I knew about relationship and dating and men. I had to unlearn everything I thought I knew and approach dating from different lens. I call it the red pill views, the red pill eyes. And it's so funny because now that I'm red pill aware and watching movies and listening to songs, like, you see how the feminist movement tried to brainwash us, not even tried, how they brainwash us into thinking these things. We see how Tyler Perry brainwashed us. If you're just mindlessly watching a Tyler Perry film, and if you're watching multiple, after a while, the mind is very powerful. Very powerful. If you continue to watch these shows and these movies and listen to these songs, after a while you start to believe them, and your subconscious mind starts to believe that that's the reality. So I definitely had to just remove myself from those things, remove myself from the echo chamber. 4th thing is I had to remove myself from my friends. It wasn't intentional that I moved from Florida around that time, but in looking back, I knew it was for the greater good. Like, I knew it was some spiritual being arranging that for me to remove myself from my friends and remove myself from the echo chamber, and wanting to become someone else, wanting to see different results. I had to remove myself. And then the 5th thing is I had to be open to criticism, and I had to be open to the possibility or the reality that I don't have all the answers and I'm still learning. And that's why I always say I'm not coming from a place of perfection. I'm still learning, because even now in my stage, in knowing what I know, there's still so much that I have to unlearn, and there's still so much that I have to reprogram and relearn. So it's just I think the main thing though is you just have to be humble and remove your ego from the situation. And you can't just be so firm on one stance. Like, there's a book that I love, U Square. It's probably like 16 pages, but it's so perfect. It's such an easy read. And in the intro, he talks about a fly trying to get through a closed window and putting all its effort in trying to get through that window, instead of just turning and looking behind him and seeing the open door. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of Black women, we want better relationships, but we're trying so hard to go through that closed window instead of just stopping and looking behind us and realizing that the answer is on the opposite side.
That was an excellent expose. Shout out to the lovely Miss JB.
It's a bet, right?
She
That's
said
a deal,
that,
right? That's a deal, right?
Black women go by
That's
emotion.
a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
We don't deal with our trauma, and when we get blessed with a good man, we show little affection. What's your take on that, Chantel?
Oh yeah, 100%, definitely. As I said earlier, I had a lot of childhood trauma with not having a reliable father. So funny, Drake has a song when he says, my dad told me he was gonna come, he didn't show though. Every time I hear the song, I remember my dad, because my dad would always tell me that because I was living in Jamaica at the time, my dad was in America, and he always would just give some empty promises. And like as a child, like you attach that to all men, and I think that's why a lot of black women are so angry towards black men, because of the disappointment that their father gave to them, so they associate it with all men. And for me, even though I didn't know that's what I was doing, I knew I had to be strong, independent, don't need a man, and show a man that I don't need him, because of my father not being reliable and all the disappointments and every time he let me down. And I would not only have to show them that I don't need them, but it was like a badge of honor, like, oh, look at me, I like. And then even in that, not showing affection, because if I open up to you and if I show you too much affection, then that's an opportunity for you to disappoint me, and that's an opportunity for you to use me and then leave. So, and then, oh gosh, we can talk more and more about that, because with my mom, in being in relationships with my dad, she also adopted that don't rely on men. Men will just use you and leave you. So in witnessing my dad and then getting that advice from my mom, it was just hell. My relationships were just hell.
That's a lot of psychic trauma. It's a lot of psychic trauma, Chantel, not only in women, but men. I call it vicarious trauma, but sometimes it's also rebellion. Many of our ladies and girls live through the trauma of their mothers based on bad relationships, and they tend to more or less project that pain onto the men that they're dealing with. In the clinical world, we call it transference. It's the transference of pain onto the target, and a lot of times, Chantel, it turns to displaced aggression. So, we see it over and over and over and over again, and impact men and women in a negative ways. I'm going to read through some of these comments. I got the camera off because I'm eating, so I don't want to look like Porky Pig. You're gonna make me feel bad because you work out, so I got to get my swag back. I got to get my Leo Mane on point because I got to work out like you. But Truth and Emotion say, how can men protect women if women don't tell men where they go? How would you like to add clarity to that?
How can men protect women if women don't tell men where they go? I don't think I'm understanding the question.
Okay. How can men protect women if women don't tell men where they go? Yeah, I don't think I quite understand it as well. Truth over Emotions, you can rephrase it. We'll try to address it in a minute. Tim Howard said, Western women automatically support each other without even doing the research or investigation. What's your take on that?
100%. I think, again, the feminine energy is more communal. Like, we tend to be in a community. If you think back in the days when the men go out to hunt and the women stay back to garden, they're like community, like the tribal. So I think we focus so much on fitting in with our community, on being liked by other sisters. That's why we'll have these girl power up conferences. You have the clique of girls. For me, I just was never that type to be in like a group setting, to be in like a sisterhood. That's one of the reasons I didn't pledge in college, because it was just not appealing to me. So maybe that's why I so easily go against the sisterhood and go against the sister code, and we're more willing to call women out on our BS. But I do see that a lot of women will much rather stick to girl code than stick to what's right. You're muted if you're talking.
Yeah, true. Yeah. No, I wasn't muted. I was stuffing my fat. I was stuffing my mouth. Chantel, I'm going to ask you this question. The word "pick me" often is seen as something very pejorative, something very negative. I want you to talk about the 5 things that you've dealt with concerning the image of a pick me. And what does a pick me mean to you? Because you wear the title pick me proudly. But so many use the term pick me to try to put women to silence and shame. What does a pick me mean to you? And why do you proclaim it so proudly?
Well, so originally when I started, even before I started doing videos, but I actually started watching videos on YouTube, I thought the term pick me, because I was introduced to the term pick me through YouTube. So I thought it was a woman who would do anything for a man who was not reciprocating. So she'll do anything to get validation from a man who did not want her, right? That's the definition that I went into this space with. But then when I started seeing people calling me pick me for advocating for men, or even for learning how to work with a man, I was like, wait, so pick me is just someone who is not talking negatively about Black men. And we proudly, shout out to the pick me's in the chat, we proudly accept the term pick me, because it's basically a woman who is not dogging down men, especially Black men. It's a woman that's not talking negatively about men, and it's a woman who wants traditional relationships. I mean, men like pick-me's, so it's like, okay, a pick-me is just, we talk about how women can be bullies. A pick-me is just women trying to bully other women into silence, and then once they realize that we start accepting the phrase, and we start accepting the term as a compliment, then they're trying to find something else. They're trying to equate a pick-me to a simp, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, I think a pick me is just a term Black woman, or women who don't want traditional relationships use to try and silence women who want to actually work with a man.
Andrew Baker said that men suffer the most trauma, no one cares. What's your take on that?
Most definitely. I just let's focus on Black men. Oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you guys. I'm so sorry. In just, especially ADOS Black men, witnessing what you guys have to go through in America. You guys are at the bottom in terms of respect that you guys get. You guys have to work twice as hard to get half the praise, and then the one place you thought you would have gotten the praise, in your house, you're not getting that. Many men talk about not even wanting to go home after a long day at work. They're taking on multiple shifts to avoid their house. So it's like, it would have been one thing if you're getting the heat and the hatred from outside. It's a completely different thing to be getting it inside the home, that one place that you just want peace. So I do feel it for Black men. And then let's talk about the childhood trauma that Black men go through. Nobody's really like focusing on how a young boy hearing his mom talk about how men ain't sugar honey iced tea, and you just like your daddy, you would be just like your daddy. Like, nobody's talking about what that's doing to his mental health, what that's doing to his self-image. And we're expecting these boys to grow up and be these strong leaders after we've silenced them and ridiculed them for so long. It's just, I can go on and on about this, but Black women love to cry and say black women are at the bottom, and black women are taking the most heat. But it's like, okay, so if we're at the bottom, where are Black men? Because Black men have it 10 times as harder than Black women, if we're calling a spade a spade.
And yeah, I think people minimized the pain, Miss Simone, the Black men and men in general go through. As I said on your show, Tavis Smiley said in the past that when white America get the cold, Black America get the flu. And that flu is exacerbated where you have women that are not more or less working with you to help you become the better version of yourself. When you go to the old folks' home, it's not a lot of men, it's a lot of old women, because the men are dialed out. And that's why I do the things that I do with my show, to empower men to live their lives on their own terms, to be unapologetic in their pursuits, and to get women that are going to more or less compliment them as they try to traverse through this maze called life. You said something that was very important, Chantel. I actually talked about it. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But you said it more or less, American women don't honor their men. But I had a question. Is a pick-me similar to a simp? It's a question that I had written down in my head. And it's a pick-me similar to a simp? And I'm going to say no, because I think a simp seeks to sacrifice important masculine principles more or less, or irrational male principle to more or less assuage a woman without getting anything in return. But based on what Tim Howard put down, the woman was made for the man. The woman was made to serve man. So if a woman come to her man trying to serve him, then in my mind, that woman, the pick-me and the simp are not synonymous, because a true pick-me is coming into the relationship wanting to serve her man and to inspire him and to lift him up. What's your take on that, or did I give you the answers to the test?
Yeah, definitely. And shout out to Tim, because I wanted to talk about that. You know, we live in a society where it's like the men are supposed to be apologizing for us if we're upset. They're supposed to be buying us flowers. They're supposed to be catering to us, which is so backwards, because to the comment that he said, it's the woman supposed to be catering to her man. A woman's supposed to be getting on her man program. If there's a disagreement in the household, the woman's supposed to bend to the man's ruling, to the man's decision. So to say that a pick me is equivalent to a simp, I think it was women's attempt, those anti-pick me as I call them, it was their attempt to get men on their side, because they know how men feel about simps. So by calling a pick me equivalent to a simp, they're thinking, okay, I'll get these men who don't like simps over on our side. But as you said, a pick-me is someone who is working with nature. She's catering to her man. She's serving her man. She's putting her man as the head of the household. A simp is working against nature. A simp is putting off a woman's needs and wants above his purpose, above his drive. So they're not equivalent. And for someone to even say they are, it just shows the lack of knowledge, and it shows just how ignorant we've been for so long, and how we'll just say anything to get the conversation in our favor. You're muted.
NBA Kenya said, the Coach Clinton, are you over there eating Bun's barbecue? Well, you must be doing a lot of critical research. How do you know about Bun's barbecue? NBA Kenya, you got to cam up. You ain't never cammed up on these shows, man. So I need you to cam up. But she talking about some damn Bun's barbecue. How does she know about Bun's barbecue? But I'm gonna leave that alone. She's an investigator. She's been been doing some research. But I'm gonna drop the link in a minute, because this conversation has been good. And we talk about the 3 parts of Chantelle Simone. I tried, I cried, I became. When I more or less posited that, Chantelle, how did that resonate in your head when I talked about the 3 pieces of Chantelle? I thought it was very creative. I tried, I cried, I became. And what did you think about that when you saw that thumbnail?
I liked it. I emphasis on the crying part because it's not something that you just overnight, and that's why when there are a lot of fake pick-me's in the space. There are a lot of chameleons in the space, and I mean, to me, it's easy to pick them out. It's easy to identify them, I guess, because I had to do the crying and the trying and the tears. It's easy to identify a woman who is just, based on how she's talking, just saying things that that men want to hear, men in the space. One thing that, a tip that I'll give is like focus on the platform. Is it solution based, or is it, oh, let's just complain about these women, right? I think a true pick me in the space will focus more on solutions than they do on complaining about women. So if as someone who's trying to learn, as a female who's trying to learn, if I can't get on their platform and learn something, like shout out to Miss Crimson Cure. Every time I watch her live stream, she have her charts, she have her highlights, she's teaching for us to be better, as opposed to another content creator who will just like say, hey, these women are this, these women are that. It's like, okay, what is our purpose here? Especially these up and coming, I call them post Kevin Samuels content creators. So we just got to look out for that. But yeah, in seeing the thumbnail, it's true. And it's not to say, oh, I'm perfect. I always say I'm not coming from a place of perfection or anything like that, because I'm still learning too. And I still have to go through the unlearning process. I'm still going through that unlearning process, and being willing to relearn and reprogram my mind. So yeah. I can't hear you. Muting.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Respect, Curtis Ball said, respect due to all the brothers and sisters creating intelligent, empathetic, clinically oriented content. I'm proud to be TKC's colleague and appreciate the class he exudes. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that kind compliment. And, I'm so honored, Chantel, to have you on the platform. You and the team picked me. You guys are awesome because there are men that are waiting to get married. And you're right. There's a such thing called the chameleon effect. I want you to help men identify clearly, Chantel, what a chameleon is. And maybe we can take this content, this show, we can both break it down and cut it up and make some shows off of it, because I'll send it to you. You can cut it up. We can make some shows off of it because there's a lot of great gems in this show. And so how do you help a man spot what a chameleon is? I have my own qualifiers, but I'm gonna let you tell the men.
Honestly, I think a woman, like in their personal life, if she is not willing to change herself to fit you, and I'm not talking about her core morals and values, right? Hopefully you wouldn't be asking her to change her core moral and values, but if she's comfortable doing something and she's not willing to change that, to adjust to you, and I'll share an example, simple example, but I don't like wearing fake nails, right? Mm-hmm. So there's something the men probably don't know, but to the females who know, I usually do dip polish. So it's just on my real nails, I'll do dip polish on my nails. However, guy I'm dating said that he wanted my nails fake nails, right? I was willing to put on fake, and it's a simple example, but it's like, is she willing to adjust what she's comfortable, like her comfort zone, to adapt to you, even in the small things? Because I think a lot of times where men are looking at, oh, well, she's submissive in the big things, but what about the small things, especially in the initial relationship, when the relationship just started? Like, how is she willing to get on your page with those small things? And I think that will make a big difference. And we can even take it to like the first date. If she's used to drinking red wine, but you suggested a white wine, is she willing to try the white wine for you, or you can try your suggestion? Those are little things that you can see her true character and her true nature.
Do you think that your channel is helping a lot of women, in your opinion?
I think that my channel is, I think there are a lot more male, I know there are a lot more male on my channel, but I think my channel is, so when I make my videos, I keep my younger self in mind, right? I keep the 18-year-old Chantel who is just about to hit college. I keep the 21-year-old Chantel who is about to leave undergrad, and I keep the 25-year-old Chantel who is about to make the mistake and go for masters in mind. Those are what I talk about on my channel is information that I would find valuable at that time. So I'm putting out the content, so eventually it will get to those kind of women. Right now, there are a lot of men on my channel, but even if it's one female that hear the message or hear what I'm saying, then it's impactful, because I promise you, if I had heard my content at 25, I wouldn't have gotten my master's degree.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Guys, I'm going to drop the link as we continue this time of discussion with Chantelle Simone. If you have not donated, guys, donate to the channel. I really appreciate the ones that have. Every man or woman that have donated to this point, please donate. If you have not hit the cash out, because these shows are time consuming. So when you guys show me love by donating, it encourages me to continue to put in the man hour to create quality content. As you guys see, I created a special thumbnail for Chantel called the Exalted Lioness. Even added some music to her. So, I try to give her some Leo swag. She's a young lioness, so I got to make sure she's protected. So, guys, we're going to have to be like the fruit of Islam to protect her, because I know they're coming for her. But the link has been dropped. And guys, once again, share the content to the 55 that are watching. Please share this content. Pit Me Nation. Just share the content. If you guys don't have any money, share the content. Sharing the content helps this channel grow. We're at maybe 2,900, 100 away from 3,000. I might have a 3,000 celebration party at some point. I'm trying to be big time like Chantelle Simone. I'm a little fish in the pond, but she gonna help me be a shark at some point, the big kahuna. But the link has been dropped. Why is it so important, Chantel, for men to stand firm in their standards as a man and hold women accountable, in your opinion?
So, there are a lot, especially with the Black community, there are a lot of energy being put into silencing Black men, to making Black men feel as though they're not important, they're not needed. Fight back, Black men, push back by holding women accountable, by, for lack of a better word, shaming certain behaviors. I came across a video the other day of a woman saying that she don't get in shape for her man because some ridiculous reason. If you want a woman who is in shape, don't date anything less. If you don't want a woman who has unnecessary attitude, break up with her. Like, just stand on your square, stand on your firm, because it's not worth it. It's not. If your goal is to be married and to have kids, and you say, okay, let me settle for this loud, combative, masculine woman, at the end of the day, you're going to lose. So it's not worth settling. It's not worth folding. Just stand on your square.
No doubt, no doubt. Philip Williams, how would you like to add to this timely conversation? And also, any other men and women would like to come up, please come on. I would prefer that you guys came up, but because of what's going on, because I don't know some of the people, but I trust that you're a real person. So if you feel comfortable, cam up. If not, tell me.
Well, I would like to say good evening to everybody. Good evening, Chantel.
Hey, Philip.
It's good to be on the show. All the lovely people listening on in order to get this much needed knowledge that's been missing for so long with our people.
No doubt.
I'm not cammed up because actually I'm not looking too good right now. Hair undone.
Okay. All right.
But I just really wanted to get on just to really tell you, Chantel, you rolling with the big three. You and the sister that you're rolling with, sister pulled you in. You are on your way. Don't worry about none of that negative energy. You take that and transpose that. You transform that. The same way you said that as long as they keep barking, you're going to keep putting out content. That's what you do. That's how you get them to come right on in line. And the ones that don't want to come in line, unfortunately, they're going to be left on the side.
No doubt.
But
No
there's a future that men do want to have with women.
Right.
The anger is coming from the combative communication or lack thereof between men and women. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. Mm-hmm. Brother, I will be staying tuned to you. Mm-hmm. Chantel, I will definitely be hitting you up again on your IG account.
Okay.
And just stay strong. And this is the greatest thing that ever came to YouTube.
No doubt, brother. We both appreciate it. Chantel is an awesome young lady. I appreciate everything that she's doing. And like I said, share the content, Philip Williams. Share the content.
Oh, definitely do. All my quality people. I don't have quantity. I got quality.
No doubt, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you too. Have a good night.
All right. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. If anyone would like to come on and add to the conversation about what me and Chantel are talking about, feel free to pop in. Let's add to the conversation because this conversation is very timely as we talk about the evolution of Chantelle Simone. I tried, I cried, and I became. I became the woman that I need to be. Tim, you funny, man. But Tim was real funny. But you got a lot of fans, Chantel. So as you grow, as you become, at some point become a wife. How do you think your husband or the man you're dating, would deal with your stardom as an advocate for men?
I mean, so. Okay, and I saw John's comment that I seem indifferent towards. So I wouldn't say I'm an advocate for men, right? Mm-hmm. I would say I am more warning younger girls that she has a choice, right? Mm-hmm. She don't have to be strong, independent. So I'm not necessarily saying, oh, Black men are great and Black men are this, which you guys are, right? But it is to bring a different perspective to a younger girl. That's why I always say my channel is for girls, women who want to be better. So it's I'm not advocating for men. It just happens that a lot of men like my what I'm advocating for is for more two-parent households, and in order to get that, we need to learn how to work with our men, right?
No doubt.
By being feminine, by being fit, by humbling ourselves, removing our ego. That's how we can work with our men. So my future husband, I'm just gonna assume that he's gonna be okay with it. If he's not okay with it, it's bye bye YouTube. But
Hey, I respect that. I like that. Hey, hold on, let me give her an applause for that. I respect that because that's what men are looking for. Is she willing to more or less acquiesce to the needs of her husband? I respect you highly for that, and that lets me know that you are striving, that you are trying. To the 51 that are listening, guys, when you come up, please cam up. Some of the people I don't know. If I know you, I might let you not cam up, but I would like for you guys to cam up for the sake of minimizing trolls, but also some of the people I don't know. So for the sake of more or less adding clarity to the show, please cam up when you come up, as Chantelle Simone and I talk about the intricacies of modern dating, relationship, and the need for empowerment as relates to women, but also as relates to men. So Tim has dropped the link. Guys, please come up. Shout out to my man XL Pro for the $5 cash app. Thank you, brother, for that $5 super sticker as we continue this time of conversation. That was solar mics. If I came on, I had my camera on, I'd be cheesing hard. But we don't care if we cheese. Come on, solar mic. Come on. Chantel ain't gonna bite. She's a kind young lady. So come on, and let's have a conversation. Where do you get your motivation from daily to continue to do this, Chantel? I know it gets hard sometimes with the comments and the disrespect.
yeah. As I say, I think my motivation comes from thinking of my younger self, thinking of the information I wish I knew when I was younger, and just wanting to see better, wanting to see change. I went to a PWI, and I can count on one hand how many of my Black friends were raised with two parents in the household. It's when you from my circle, when you meet somebody who had a dad in the household, it's like shocking. It's like, what? So that's a major issue. And then also I worked in the foster care system for a while, and then just seeing the lack of two-parent households in the Black community, it's heartbreaking. So I think that too is where I get my motivation from, but I would say it's majority from me wishing I had this information when I was younger.
Let me stop. Chantel ain't dealing with no 5'2" guys though. But look at her laughing hard. Chantel's my brother. I love Chantel. She be cracking up every time I say something about height. But guys, pop on, please. Let's have a conversation because Chantel is dropping some gems, and it's sad, Chantel, that many of our kids and many of our family members didn't come up in homes with two-parent family members, because I think it's hurt how women see their men, but also it's hurt how relationships have not more or less been formed because of negative thinking and negative socialization. So everything you're saying is very important, but also very practical as it relates to having healthy relationships. So the link has been dropped, as this is a dialogue, not a monologue, as we talk about the challenges of the evolution of Chantelle Simone. Chantelle Simone, you and I both grew up in church. And, Jesus told Nicodemus, he said, if you want to come into the kingdom of heaven, you must be born again. What does it mean to be born again as it relates to a woman coming into the life of a man, in your opinion?
Oh, I think oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one?
That's a good question. I think it's strip, because if we're going to relate it to the church, being born again meant stripping yourself from your past life, stripping yourself from your past mindset. So I think being born again, to in this aspect of becoming a pick me, I think it's stripping yourself of your routine, of your habits, and you can't be doing the same thing expecting a different results. And I think that's where a lot of women who are frustrated with their relationship patterns, I think that's where they fall short, because they continue to have these same patterns, and then are furious as to why they continue to have these same results. And I think a fresh born again, changing your mind, changing your outlook of how you look at men, how you look at relationship, how you look at your role in a relationship, I think that's required. But unfortunately, a lot of women aren't willing to do that.
And do you think it's going to be to their own detriment long term?
Oh, most definitely. Yes. I think, oh gosh, I don't want to see 20, 30 years from now, those nursing homes that you talked about earlier. Oh God. Oh gosh. And then, a lot of these women who aren't getting married, and they're thinking, okay, I'll just still go ahead and have a kid. I don't need to be married. And then, as someone who had to to bury a parent without that parent having a spouse is not, that's not a good thing to put on your child. So it's very
No.
inconsiderate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 20 years, 30 years from now, because I mean, honestly, and it's sad to say, I don't think it's definitely not my job to save anybody. I'm just sharing my story as I'm learning. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind.
Right.
But it sucks to see how many of my friends, like, I see their patterns and they're not even considering changing their mindset. I can see 10 years from now them still continuing on that same path of being bitter single.
Guys, the link has been dropped as Chantelle Simone and I are dropping gems about relationship dynamics and why those dynamics are so important for long-term outcomes. So guys, the link has been dropped. If you'd like to come on and ask Chantelle some questions, feel free to come on. This is a no troll zone. I got a trigger finger quicker than the Lone Ranger. So the link has been dropped for any men or women that would like to ask Chantelle a question. Tim Howard has dropped the link. But, John M. asked a question, Chantelle. He said, like Chris Rock says, the wife going to say the biggest piece of chicken for the husband. So are you going to say the biggest piece of chicken for your husband?
Oh, yeah. What? Yeah, that's one thing I can say, though. That's one thing I can say. Growing up, the man, I'm definitely get the bigger piece of chicken, get more rice, get the biggest plate. Yeah, most definitely. What? Yeah.
Can you cook?
Yes.
Oh,
I can't. No, the oxtail and the goat and the Jamaican dish. I don't want to get anybody hopes up. No. But my subscribers know about my salmon. Every time I make salmon, it's like it gets better and better because I'm pescatarian. So I don't.
Oh, pescatarian. Okay.
Food. Yeah. Okay. But I do cook. Yeah.
Okay, that's why your skin is so clear. So guys, if you guys like to come on and ask Chantelle a question, feel free to come up. She's not going to bite. She's a lioness. She's the exalted lioness, to say the least. She's going to give me credit. She's going to help me push my channel. But I say, go check out the Coach of Cognition, as I am the exalted lioness. But guys, feel free to come on and have a conversation as we're talking about relationships and relationship dynamics. Many times, Chantelle, some say they don't feel that the evolution of this current world, it's going to take generations to change the trajectory that we're on. What's your take on that? Do you see it happening in your lifetime? Or do you think it's going to take at least 2 to 3 generations before we get back to wherever?
I really don't think even 2 to 3 generations. I think honestly, I don't think it's going to change. I think we're just there's no incentive to change as women, everything is in our favor, especially Black women. We get catered to by just saying, oh my gosh, I'm a Black woman, and then who was it that gifted Black women $10 billion last year?
It was
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs, right.
Yeah, so I honestly don't see any change coming anytime soon. Right. I think it's just going to be on an individual basis to just focus on yourself. If you want better, this is what you're going to have to do, and genuinely do it. Don't just do it because you want a man, or do because you want marriage. I always say I'll be content if I never get married and never have kids, but at least I'm aware and I'm able to pass on the information.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I'm okay. Ideally I would want, so being single is not it. It's not, being unmarried is not main goal. But if unfortunately I never get married because of my actions, I can make peace with that. And that's, I know 100% due to my actions in my life.
Right. Elisa Del Rosario, feel free to come back on, dear. You keep popping in and off, so feel free to come back on. Is there any more men or women that would love to come up and ask Chantelle a question as she's giving clarity to why she created Chantelle Simone, the origin of the pick me? When you heard about the term pick me, you said you heard about it on the manosphere, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so did you think it was something derogatory, or what did you think about it when you first heard it?
Well, yeah, initially when I heard about it, it was a woman who was trying to seek validation from a man who wasn't, who was a dusty, for lack of better words. Mm-hmm. But then now it's like, if you just want to cater to a man, if you just want to like learn to work with a man, be better for a man, then they label you as a pick me, which, it really does not make any logical sense. But also, if you think about many of the videos that we see floating around, even that clip, my video that you showed earlier, like there's no logic in any of those.
It's not. It's not. It's all out from a place of vitriol. It's all from a place of ignorance. And I agree with you 100%. It doesn't make any sense when you think about the greater or the bigger picture as it relates to relationships, because we know, and I know, and you know, that men are going on the forefront to more or less trying to put their lives on the lives for their women, you know, and you know, the graveyard doesn't lie. Men die off early. They die off early for a myriad of reasons, and it's unfortunate when you hear men, Chantelle, say they don't want to get married or they're dating women from other countries. What does that do to you as a woman?
So I don't fault them for it. I like in before I would like I was indifferent towards it. I'm not even gonna lie. Before you and I became all aware and in the space and stuff. More majority of my exes, funny enough, majority of my exes, I'm the first black girl they've dated. Yeah, wow, I didn't even realize that. So
the first black girl. What do you mean?
Yeah, so like my ex, his girlfriend before me was white, and then my other ex, his girlfriend before me was Hispanic.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm they had cut off black girls, and then they met me, and they said so like I was aware that men were choosing to date out, they were choosing to fly. But that video, that Zoom to Thailand video, really, you know, bring a lot more awareness to it when he showed what his girlfriend is, how his girlfriend is, and the roles that she did for him. And it just is like, I strongly believe that men should go where they're respected, men should go where they're appreciated, and to just simply how we speak about our men. You know, we talk down about our men, we treat them like they're beneath us. If you're going to get respect from another race or another culture or another country, then why not go? I mean, we do it as Black women. We went to seek our degrees instead of working with our men. So
Have you ever had conversations, Chantelle, with some of your friends where they laugh at men for being goofy and gullible about how to deal with women? You know, I don't want you to put your friends on blast, but have there ever been a conversation where you other women say he's so stupid, only if he knew? Have you ever had those conversations?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, in a I am the one majority of the time when they're saying something, like I'm the one who's thinking, oh my gosh, he's so like, why don't he just leave? You know, especially now, especially like in being familiar with this content and, you know, being familiar with what a simp is. But I do unfortunately have some friends who will take advantage of men and just use men and not think to reciprocate or give anything in return.
Right. And we see it all too often. Many guys are getting frustrated with it. Guys, listen, Chantelle is, you know, she's evolving. She's evolving from from a modern woman to being hopefully the wife of a great man at some point in her life. And, you know, I'm sure you got some secret admirers in the corner, Chantelle, somewhere, you know, sharp, you know, licking their chops, you know. But if you guys want to come up and ask Chantelle a question, feel free. Chantelle is very knowledgeable. She's a good woman. I respect you highly. Chantelle, you talked about masculine energy. You used to lead with masculine energy. I want you to tell the audience times how you would emasculate men in the past. How did you emasculate the men that you were dealing with in the past?
Well, just by leading with my degree, leading with my stuff, you know, leading with what I had. Like it was from a lack of knowledge. It was not intentional. It was things that I thought I should have, you know, I thought this is how relationships are. I'm supposed to be strong and independent and not need him. I remember not even somebody I was dating, but actually a coworker. I was moving some boxes in my office and he offered to help. And I was like, no, I can do this. In looking back, that was kind of emasculated because, I mean, you know, it's like, and the boxes were heavy, so it wasn't no light box, you know. So just like those were little things. I said no, I got this because I wanted to show my strength, you know.
Right.
But I mean, he wasn't even trying to holler at me or anything. He just wanted to help. And I was like, oh, no, I'm strong. And then also in thinking that to give a guy an attitude, a couple months ago, they talk about not wanting to smile at men, feeling that we don't have to smile at our men. That too can kind of be very masculine, thinking that, oh, I'm supposed to give this man attitude because every man, like, it's just very juvenile. It's very not feminine. And I think, honestly, I think it's just from a lack of knowledge.
Oh no, I totally agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. Shout out to my man,
right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
I'm going to read the super sticker in a minute. He said, KC is putting in the work. Chantel, what do you think about couples moving in together?
I think for me personally, I wouldn't move in with a guy unless we're engaged. Yeah, but that's just me personally. It depends on your values. Some people are like, oh, don't move in with him until you're married. So I think if you just know someone and you trust that person and you have intention of moving the relationship forward, but I know I personally wouldn't move in with my boyfriend unless we're engaged.
Okay. These last 10 years, are you hopeful for your prospects of marriage going forward in the future?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
I am more like, okay, so when I was at the point, that quarter life crisis, I'm not knowing what a relationship should be, not knowing what I would bring to a relationship, I was pretty confused because if I was to get married, if I would have gotten married at 25, it's like, okay, what do we do here? Do we just live together and split the bills? But now in understanding what my role would be, what my role and responsibility is, I'm hopeful for a marriage, and I'm also hopeful for a long-lasting marriage, not just a wedding. I focus more on the marriage. Take me to the courthouse. I don't need a wedding.
I like that. I like that. I love your practicality, but also you're very rational. You're very rational, and that takes a lot of introspection and insight on your behalf. So the link has been dropped, guys. Let's ask Chantel some questions. Chantel, how much more time you got there?
Like 30 minutes.
Okay, great. This has been a great stream. So, guys, if you want to ask Chantel some questions, she got 30 minutes left. If there are any older women that would like to ask her questions, feel free to pop on. Young, old, middle-aged men and women. This young lioness got some fire for your mind. And so let's have a conversation because this young lady is evolving. Ladies, what are you willing to do to evolve? Because many men are becoming very apathetic to relationships. They don't see any value in dealing with modern women. They feel like modern women don't live their lives to serve their men, and they only see men as a means to an end. What's your take on modern women, Chantel, seeing men as a means to an end, in your opinion?
I think many modern women and I was guilty of this too, not knowing the purpose of a man, because as I said, in seeing my mom, my aunt, my grandma work and be that strong, independent woman, and then come home and still cook, clean, take care of the house, is like, okay, what would a man be here for? Why would I need a husband? So I think because society don't push those roles, it's like we want to merge or roles, like, oh, you can cook too, or we're equal. I think we really don't see the benefits of a man, and I think because we want to so badly be equal to men, we don't realize that we are not equal, but we're of equal importance. So we see men's strength as something we want to be our strength, without realizing that men's weaknesses are our strengths, right? So even when we talk about men being more logic or men being more visual creatures, hey Sandra, when we talk about men being more logic, a lot of women will fight back on that and say, well, women are logic too. Women can be logical too. When it's like, okay, yes, we can be logical, but men are more logical than
right. That's like saying men can't be emotional. Our default setting is logical. Sandra Faye on YouTube, how are you doing, young lady? Can you hear Sandra? Sandra Faye, you okay?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can. How you doing, dear?
Oh, sorry, I'm having connection issues, so I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, thumbs up. Yes, I can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
great. My question was, what are you guys' thoughts on the whole divestment movement that's been just like saying all sorts of crazy things lately? And if you don't know about some of the things that they're saying, I can kind of elaborate. But
Yeah,
what are your thoughts
I
on the
know.
whole divestment movement?
Well, listen, many some are divesting as a form of hate. I think in the Chris Logic and the Cynthia G's, that divestment movement in my mind is a form of hate. I think black men are divesting not because there's a level of hate. Black men are more or less moving on like SYSBM because they feel like they're not getting treated good, in my opinion. So, I don't think black men are divesting because, pop back on Sandra, I don't think black men are divesting because they don't love black women. They are more or less exploring their options because they feel like they're not getting what they want in America. But I don't think it's any visceral hate because you don't hear black men saying that you should get rid of all black girl babies. But you do hear divestors saying you should get rid of all black male children. And so I think that's the biggest difference. So Sandra, pop back on if you can, dear. There you go. Did you hear what I said, Sandra?
Sorry, my connection is really bad. The internet over here in China is trash.
Oh no, you're fine. So did you hear me, Sandra Faye on YouTube?
No, I didn't. I'm so sorry.
Right. So I don't think black men are necessarily divesting. I think they are exploring their options. I think the divestment movement as relates to some of the women like Chris Logic and Cynthia G. I think their divestment is more or less based on a visceral hate for black men. You don't hear black men saying that they are moving on because they don't love black women. Many times those men are moving on and doing what's called SYSBM, but they're dating women many times from other countries. Sometimes they're Afro-Latin women. Many times they're African and Afro-Latin women. But they're not. But you don't hear black men saying that we need to exit out all baby girls. But you do hear divestors saying that we need to get rid of all black boys many times. Some of them as a form of eugenics. So I think the term divesting is a very strong term to more or less equivocate how black men feel towards relationships with black women. But I don't think black men are per se divesting as they're more or less exploring their options, trying to find better women, in my opinion.
I want to add. Sandra, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sis.
I feel so slow. Hey, I feel so slow. I did not really when you said you're in China, I did not realize that you were the same Sandra that have the YouTube. Because I watched a couple of your videos. I even left some comments on your videos. It didn't click. I've been seeing you in the chat, but it did not click that this was the same person.
Oh my god.
I love your channel. I love your mindset.
I love your channel too, sis.
Thank
I really
you.
do. Sis be dropping fire, and I like your whole vibe. Because I'm a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit aggressive, but I appreciate how soft you are with your message and things like that. Like, much appreciated. What are your thoughts?
Let me ask you a question, Sandra. How did you evolve to become the woman that you are now? Because you see the injustice going on in the land with black men and black women, but how did you evolve as a woman?
Well, for me, I kind of grew up with 2-parent household. My dad was always there. I had uncles that were, in my life. So I always had good relationships with black men, but I also grew up with that whole boss chick kind of mentality, because some of my mentors, they had that mentality. And one of the things that I think I said this on Chantel's live stream was, she told me like, oh, I want my husband. I don't need him. And for a while, I thought that was what a genuine desire would be, because it's like, if I need you, then I'm desperate. But if I want you, then it's just more like, oh, okay, I just want you in my life. But when I really started to think about it, and it was watching like channels like The Black Authority or, The Business with Jason Black, he really opened my eyes to get me thinking about it a lot more. I realized that, being vulnerable and being able to say you need the person you're with, that brings the relationship to a whole nother level. And, in my current relationship, I'm definitely comfortable saying that I need him in my life. And it's a beautiful thing because that allows me to be vulnerable, emotionally naked with my man. And from there, we can have a genuine, strong bond. And
Right.
so it was really, being open to that information. Luckily, I never had vitriol towards Black men. That was never a thing to me because I've always had wonderful Black men in my life.
Right.
But that whole boss chick mentality, and that, more liberal programming, that's what I really had to deprogram myself from. And it was through listening to, other content creators that push that message and being open to it. That's what really helped me.
No doubt. Well, it's refreshing to hear young women like yourself. Are you a millennial, Sandra Faye?
Yeah. Well, I guess technically, I'm 28.
Oh yeah, you're a baby. Yeah, y'all. You're a baby. You might even be a zennial. You in the crosshairs.
No, I don't think I'm Gen Z. I think I'm like, towards the end of the millennials.
Right. You in the crosshairs. Millennial Mark, yeah, brother. You can pop on to ask the lovely Faye and the exalted lioness a few questions. Cause she's gonna make sure she take care of old Sabretooth. But yeah. So Millennial Mark, if you want to pop in, Tim has dropped the link. If anyone else want to ask Sandra and Chantel any questions, feel free to join the conversation. What have you heard, Sandra Faye, that's giving you clarity about how men feel, and did you realize that many men were feeling the way that they're feeling?
Well, the thing that really opened my eyes to the issues that go on with men, as far as like children, that's where I'm really like passionate about, was because I had a cousin who the mother of his children, she was like moving cross state with the child, not allowing him to see. And it's like, he wanted to be a part of his child's life. Like that is something he was very passionate about. And just seeing the injustices that were done to him, as far as like him as a father, like that kind of put it on my radar that there's a lot of things that men are suffering from. And then the more you research, the more you hear these different stories, and you just see a lot of women like using their children as pawns against the fathers. It's just that's the part that really gets me, because children are precious, and I can't imagine having made a child with someone and then being denied access because the relationship went south, but then also having that child grow up thinking that I don't want them, or that I'm a deadbeat because of the programming that the mom is giving the child because the relationship didn't work out. So like that's the injustice that really kind of opened the door for me to see the issues that men are going through.
Why do you think so many men, are you from America originally? And if so,
Yeah.
Why do you think so many Black men or men in general give their power away? Chantel and I talked about it extensively, but in your own estimation, Sandra Faye, why do you think so many Black men defer their power in relationships?
Are you talking about in regards to the children or just in general?
Well, just in general, yes, ma'am.
To be honest, I mean, if these men were raised by single moms, then they're used to deferring the power to the woman. They're
Right.
used to following the lead of the woman.
Right, I agree.
So it comes naturally. And so it's like, you got to think about people's interests. Okay. So a single mother, what's her interest while she's raising her child? She would be interested in raising her child to be the type of man that she would want. And if she's damaged, then she's going to want a certain type of man that feeds into, or I can't think of the word, but aids that damagedness and things like that. So she would raise him to be that kind of simp, take whatever a woman can give, just allowing a woman to run the relationship. Whereas if you had a father in the home, especially a father who managed the home, who did that, protector, provider role, you're gonna know your rightful place as the head of the household just from observation, because we know that children learn through model behavior and things like that. So I think it really comes from the fatherless homes, and the women raising their kids with their interest in mind rather than the child's interest in mind.
Right. I totally agree. Millennial Mark, if you're listening, brother, the link has been dropped. The lovely Chantel is going to be signing off in a few minutes, but you guys can get a glimmer of hope if you want to pop in and have a conversation with her. She's going to be signing off in a few minutes, so if you want to ask Chantel a question, feel free to pop on. Cam up, though. I know Sandra knows Chantel, but if you guys want to ask Chantel any more questions, feel free to come on.
I can turn my camera on for a hot second. It's morning time over here, so I haven't really zhuzhed up yet.
Oh, it's morning time in China. Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, there you go. Our girl said you like a black Chinese. Do you have any Chinese in you?
No.
Okay.
I'm just light skinned. I go with this. I'm a black woman. That's all the qualifier I need is I'm a black woman. My parents are black, grandparents black. I'm light skinned.
Where you from originally?
I grew up right outside of Chicago.
Oh, Chi-Town. Okay, cool.
Well,
How long have you been in China?
Outside of Chi-Town, so the suburbs. My parents are from Chicago, and then they worked hard so that we cannot have to grow up in certain environments. So right outside of Chicago, the suburbs.
Okay.
How long have you been in China?
I've been in China since August 2019, but I'm on my way home this year.
Okay. All right. So once again, guys, Millennial Mark, you asked the question. It's only for women. It's for anyone that want to ask Chantel, even Sandra Faye. She has her own YouTube channel. Go check out her. Any questions? Sandra Faye, why did you just come up with your channel? I asked Chantel earlier, but why did you come up with your channel as it relates to relationships and black men and black women?
Well, I wouldn't say that my channel is about specifically relationships. I talk about all kinds of topics. Originally, I was going on there to do more like Black in China content, story times, things of that nature. But then I just, I realized I had a lot to say about many different topics. And so I just, branched out. I do vlogs, all sorts of things. So relationships isn't the focal point of my channel. It's just one of many things that I like to talk about.
Right. Great. When you hear this conversation, you and Chantel are definitely warriors on the wall. I call you guys the clarion callers. Do you see any hope moving forward for a lot of our men and women? Hold tight. Okay, Moses, how you doing, brother? Neil Moses. How you doing, sir? What's going on, dog?
We up already. I was waiting for to get in. I was like, I didn't know you're gonna pop me in right away. Okay, what's up? Good. How about you guys? And just want to say, Chantel, thank you for sharing that. I think you're going to make a lot of impact on so many young women because I know a few I've shared this with. And look, I'm 29. I'm a divorcee. And I'll be straight up. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The thing is, I was always dating all black women until I didn't realize you have to understand the psychological mindset before you pick a woman. And I think my choices were always masculine women. I was a beta male. Right. We all were there. You know what I'm saying? I was a simp at the time. And she was a Trinidad Dominican background, which is not the difference, it's not the point. But the thing is, that was her culture. But I think the biggest take I can say right now from your story is if women like her seen your story and had an influence, I think she could have been better off learning that her home wasn't perfect, but she needed women like you to guide her to be understanding that the mindset she had was boss babe, chase the money, go get a degree, master's, all that good stuff they think is good. And it's really changing to be a masculine woman because you got to go for the money, right? Means that you're changing yourself to be less woman, to be more man. You know what I'm saying? To have a higher role. Right. And she was in criminal justice, so I'm not about to change that. That's not my role to change a woman. She has to know herself to know that she's called to be a woman of God, to lead, to let a man lead her, and to be led. So I wanted to speak on this because I like the fact that you put a lot out there and you put yourself in a vulnerable position, and it takes heart to do that. And, we're in the same age group. I'm 29. So I think it's good to hear this. And I'm just let you know, keep that up. And please keep adding to these women to know that they role as a woman, as a wife and a mother is important. It's not just another woman, another wife. You know what I'm saying? It's not that role just to be another role. It's for life. You're creating a legacy with the man you're with for forever. And that's your husband, no matter what nobody says. You know what I'm saying?
I want to add, thank you so much, Moses, because you remind me of something I wanted to add, and I think it's important, and I think it's perfect to finish off with. As Black women, we can't control how we were raised, but we can control, reprogramming and unlearning certain things. I think it's important for Black men to understand and to have some kind of sympathy, for lack of better words, towards us, because just think about it. We were raised, we didn't choose to be strong, independent. We didn't have a choice. My first relationship advice was go to school, get your education, because men aren't reliable. So in getting to an age when I realized that, okay, I didn't get my desired results, is like having to reprogram, having to change, takes a lot of work. And when I say I get heat on both sides, I guess I get some Black men in the manosphere saying like, oh, why you old, you hit the wall, and and it's just like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
yeah. But it's just like, okay, if we want to see better in the Black community, the age that we learn it is somewhat irrelevant. At least we're learning it, and then at least we're sharing it. um but then also, I like when you say, it's not your job to change your ex's mind, or to I agree 100%. I think she should come to the table willing to learn, and in admitting that, hey, you're gonna have to teach me a lot of things, but I'm willing and open to learn. So, like, don't expect perfection from us. Give us a lot of grace, and
Grace, right,
acknowledge that, yeah, a
I
lot of
agree.
grace. Grace is my favorite word.
right, right,
But then acknowledge that, okay, at least we're trying, as opposed to we're saying, oh, take me as I am. This is how I am.
right, right, right. I like that. I like that. I want to ask you a question, young man, Neo Moses. Of course, I'm the true Moses. Isaac Hayes, and I'll stand accused. So I can't let you take the Cornish Black
It's all
Moses.
good.
But when you think about relationships, brother, do you see any hope for many modern women, in your opinion?
I mean, it's a lot of work to be done. It has to be a willingness to learn. And based on what I've dated, oh my gosh, even in the church, I've met so many modern women mindsets. I just thought so many are not willing to see traditional values
Right,
to be better than that modern thought. Because the thought is, I'm a woman, I have a right, which I'm not against that, but I want to have my own money, have a B plan just in case this don't work out. Like this thing they wear is fear. Like I'm like, whose fear are you wearing? You know what I'm saying? Is that your mom's fear or your grandma's fear?
right.
Because that's not your fear. Because you were never in slavery. So how do you know what they're going through? Like on some color purple type of thinking. I'm like, yo, where's this coming from to think they're telling you the truth about what you're seeing today? Like I've talked to different sisters who told me they gotta have this mindset to think, oh, all Black men don't want us. They say this and that. I'm like, okay, hold up. That's not all of us. That's a minority of men that don't want to, deal with the culture of women that's in the same background. That's their choice to say what they want to say, but that shouldn't be your main set. Focus on you and look at the ones that want you and be the woman that you're praying to be there for them. Because I told her, women have to ask men what do they want and need. Then you can get the man you're praying for versus, oh, they want me, but I don't know what they want. I just want to follow my sisters. They tell me what I think is what they want. That don't work like that, yo. It's not part of the market. You got to ask the
Well,
men.
right, right. I totally agree. You got to ask the men, because men are the arbiters of relationships. We determine who we marry. I agree with that 100%. Chantel, we're gonna sign off in a minute. But starting with you, the exalted lioness. What did you get from this conversation? How was she over there eating potato chips? We'll come back.
No, not potato chips. What? I'm eating grapes.
Chantel
Over there.
Chantel over there munching, drinking alkaline water, eating grapes.
Staying healthy, stay faithfully healthy on the weekends. Okay.
No doubt, no doubt. Chantel, what you get from the conversation, and how was the conversation more or less beneficial? I think we did a great job, circumnavigating, this very timely discussion. But what did you get from the conversation? How was it beneficial?
I love having these conversations, and thank you so much for having me on. I love sharing my story, because it, as I say, it will help a young girl, even if it's just one girl.
Right.
Oh my
Don't choke.
Don't,
Salmon nuggets.
don't choke on us now. We can't help you over here now.
Yeah, I just ate some salmon. I just ate some salmon cakes. So I just ate some. That's why I was over here munching, eating salmon cakes. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I wish I had this information when I was younger. So I find that the more I am able to to tell my story and share it. Hopefully it will help someone to get the information too. So thank you so much for coming on. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Sandra, if you can please email me for a collab. But
Most
yeah,
definitely, that'd be
definitely.
dope.
Yeah, Sandra. Actually, I want you to come back. We can either do a solo. Or I bring Chantel back. All three of us do another. I would like to do either you and Chantel, or do you solo and Chantel. I want to come back on your platform. We'll do a psychic soul train. We'll pick it back and forth. But Sandra, I definitely want to bring you on as well. But MC Recovery and Wellness, brother, how would you like to add to this conversation real quick? Unmute yourself.
Chantel,
go ahead, brother. Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
Chantel answered one of my questions, and earlier in the week, or it was last week, I was looking at trying to go through some of her videos to send to my niece, and I couldn't find one, but I do have another question because it's family related. So I wanted to know how do the women right on the panel feel about helping their man, because my niece is 26 and she do have a father, so she got a big decision to think about. So the question is, like, how do y'all feel about helping y'all man with school, and then a few weeks before it's about to end, they drop out? Like, that's a scary question.
So you're saying like I'm helping him financially with school or what?
Right. So it's like, now there's no use for me to look through your videos because her dad gave her some options. Like, you got to really look at that now. So
That's a tough one, but then it would depend on the situation. If you're asking me personally helping my man with school, I trust his judgment, right? So if he's gonna drop out 2 weeks before or like it end, I'm gonna trust that okay, it was because he's a good leader, he's a good decision maker. But if it's a guy that's flaky, if it's a guy that's not, a good leader, good decision maker, then that's a different story. So I think it would depend on the guy. But I know I personally, if I help my man with school and he drop out, it's like okay, because I 100% trust his judgment and believe that he made the decision based with everybody's best interest at heart.
well, sure, okay. Well, it's still some stuff that's going to go down. So I think she at the part where she gotta probably just break off and
Yeah,
accept her losses.
are they married? Like, is it?
No,
Oh,
no business. It was like they were supposed to be getting engaged, but
Well,
her dad explained some of the patterns that he been getting from him. So
my
because
thing would. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Well, I guess it would just depend on, like I said, the patterns of behavior. So if he hasn't really proven himself as a leader or proven himself as able to make good decisions or work through tough situations and come out on top, if he hasn't proven that, then that would just be another sign of not having the leadership skills necessary in the relationship. So, if it's a situation like Chantel was saying, like, my man is a good leader, he's making good decisions, and he says, look, I'm not going to do this, then, by all means, you're going to back that man up. But if he has the tendencies to always give up at the end or not put full effort or want you to put in more financially than he does, but then, squander your money, then that's definitely a situation you would want to protect yourself from.
Okay, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think your situation, it sounds very, I want to say unique, but then it's probably not. There's a lot of stories similar to that. But to have someone just drop out like that, I would really look at their past, like employments, because it tells you a consistency basis of how they've worked in their life. I've always thought, like, if a person's always quitting a job or something like that. How are they doing with their school? You just quitting because the classes are hard, or you just think, oh well, I want to follow my passion. Okay, so where's your standard on how you stay somewhere to get better to pass? You should want to do where you're committed to. Like you got to college, right? You got to go get college, get the thing done, get your degree, right? Stay there for the amount that you're committed to. But I don't know how many guys would do that. I don't know too many guys who just dropped out and they're with someone and they're paying for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's kind
but
of
then it
unique.
was something simple too. It was shit. It was trucking because his family have trucking business. So all he had to do was just stay in the dorm, finish up, and he dropped out. So it's like,
So he dropped out from getting his CDL for trucking.
and his
That's
family
crazy.
Something
have
must have scared him out. Probably
trucks.
scared of
That's
truck.
crazy because you can make a lot of money doing trucking.
Yeah.
My dad has a job in that career, and they make good money, and it's consistent. The
And then
robots
Blue
haven't taken
collar.
over the cars
Mhm.
100% yet.
Yeah,
So
but
and
there's
then
they
his
coming.
lots of
family
Blue
has
jobs
a
collar.
with
trucking
that.
business.
You
Yep.
mentioned that her dad had some opinions about her man. Is it favorable? Does her dad like him?
Well, my brother, he like shit. My brother figured that, he's lazy or something. So,
Mm.
There you go.
I
He
see.
ain't
I
blue
think
collar.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think that's
lazy.
important. I think
He
it's a
inconsistent.
woman. I think it's a woman responsibility to take to allow the men in her family to vet her potential man. And I mean that's a huge red flag if your dad don't like him. I mean, and if you trust your dad's judgment, and the men in your
Right.
family's judgment, and if they don't like him, then I mean that's a
Take
Right.
their
huge red
advice
flag.
Yeah,
and
because my
run.
brother give him that side eye, so you know what the side eye is.
You a
Yeah.
punk. That's what they say. You a punk.
Uh, and then I had one last question. I wrote it down. It had something to do with brushing the male's ego. Shit, I don't know how to word it, but brushing the male ego on either on his good days, but let alone his bad days. What's
Um
your take on that? Like being inspiration to
yeah,
I come in with bad news. I lost the contract. I didn't have a good day. Supervisor was on me.
so as Mr. Kosher always say, like keeping his six, like protecting his ego and stuff. I mean 100%. I think how a woman reacts when a man is not able to pull his, to provide or do the role because of something outside of his control. I think it says a lot about her. I think he should still continue to brush his ego even when things are going well and when things are going bad. And it's the simple things. Oh my gosh, it blows my mind just how simple men are. It's just kind of God, y'all just if you just rub his head and it's like, oh my gosh, that's the world. Like that's it. Like that's all I gotta do.
Yeah. Something about a hot meal after a hard day. A hot meal
Like
changes
really,
everything.
that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that in itself can brush a man's ego, can boost his ego. So it blows my mind how women fight against that. And like little things, like little cute things like doing a pedicure, doing a facial, doing a mask that I know men don't know nothing about that clay mask that you can get from Amazon.
Well,
You know what I'm
I
talking
used
about.
to get manicures.
Just like doing his own little manicure and pedicure. I mean, those things. I don't know about anybody else. It's fun for me. Things
Facts.
that I call fun though is not usually fun for anti-pick me's. But doing a little pedicure and doing a little facial, doing the mask and stuff. Those are
Oh, that
like
sounds
really
relaxing.
small. Yeah, right. While you watch some kind of sports or somebody throw a ball. Yeah.
Who's living in China right now? Someone said living in China.
I
Someone said,
am.
"Oh, ni hao, ni hao,
Yeah. Ni hao.
ni hao
Well,
My
ma."
Chinese is terrible, so
Go watch
understand. Like
some.
when I speak Chinese to my students, they laugh at me. Like,
Go watch someone named Lao Shu 55,000. He's a black
oh,
dude
I've
speaks
heard of
three
him.
languages. Good. That you should watch him. I got his classes on my computer. Good guy.
But to answer your question, I think that the best thing a woman can do as far as like keep her man's spirit up is to make sure the house is peaceful. Because, you know, if he goes out and he's working hard and he has to come back to nagging or come back to a dirty house or come back to no food on the table, you know, just stress, you know, that's going to make whatever situation he's going through even worse. So if you could just like keep the home peaceful, a place where he wants to actually be there. I don't know if you ever saw like in the movies where like the husband would come home and he would sit in the car for like 20 minutes before he goes in.
Oh man.
Like that's traumatizing. Like I wouldn't want my husband sitting outside the house trying to work up the courage to come in. I want him to be rushing through the door to come see me.
Exactly. And it blows I love that you said that, Sandra, because as I said, like I was looking at a TikTok and the man asks, you know, we'll get in shape to go on a trip, we'll get in shape to spite our ex, but we won't get in shape to please our men, like, you know, the man in our life. And so many women are like talking crap about that, and I'm like, you don't want to please your man, you don't want to look good for your man. Like if your man likes you,
them,
it's crazy to me because that's your man. You don't want your man to be attracted to you.
I agree. Like it's because deep down inside they're not dealing with men they actually care about. Because if you care about someone, it comes second nature to do nice things. But if you see it as a transactional relationship, you know, think about business. You're trying to give less to get more. That's what business transactions usually are. You're trying to get over on the person. That's just how business works. You want to get more out of the situation than the other person. And so when they look at relationships in that way, they're not going to go that extra mile to love on their man. They're not going to go that extra mile to do for him, to look good for him. But when you genuinely care about that person, you look forward to being, you know, the woman of the apple of his eye. You look forward to keeping the peace in the home, taking care of him, the massages and stuff like that. Like that sounds like a good time. I don't know why anyone would not want to do that for their man. That sounds like a good time. I'm sorry.
Well, you've come from a culture that seeks to serve a man. Sad that many men are looking for those women outside of America. But listen, this has been a great show. I love the new talent, the exalted line. And Chantel, you did an awesome job. You know, you answered the questions with clarity and precision. You were like rapid fire, man. And Sandra Faye, thank you, dear. I saw you on Chantel's show when I came on her channel. But I got to get up and let these hips do some exercising, man. You know, I'm like that line on the Wizard of Oz, man. You know, I got to put some oil. I got to put some oil on these hips to Tin Man. But this has been a great show, guys. It's been an awesome show, Chantel. We will do this again at some point, either with me and Chantel solo or Sandra Faye and us as a team. But this is a good show because it gives men some level of hope. I consider you ladies a remnant. I don't think it's a lot of women like you and Sandra Faye, but it is refreshing to hear women striving to be good women, striving to be quality women for a quality man. And maybe you and Chantel can start recruiting other true pick-me's to get some awesome men. So it's been a great show. So, guys, anything else you want to add before I leave? I'm about to sign off. Chantel got to go. It's been 3 hours in, and so we're about to sign off. So, Chantel, anything, closing comments, closing responses?
Closing comments. Biggest closing comment is: men, go where you are loved, go where you are respected, go where you're wanted. Sometimes loyalty can, you know, kill us. So yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Well, we know that as Leos, loyalty definitely kills us. I'm too loyal, but I'm working on it. But anyway, signing off, guys. This has been a great one. Thank you, MC Recovery and Wellness. Thank you, Neil Moses. Moses, check out that that email, brother. I got your email, so just respond to it. Let me know when you're ready, and we're going to make it happen. All right. So, Chantel, thank you, sweetie.
Thank you.
Awesome conversation, Sandra Faye. And I wish I had more men coming up, but I guess they got scared. But anyway, guys, signing off. Be well.
Bye, everybody.
Peace out.
4 in the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, let's kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say
My jolie, oh my jolie. Ah yeah, eh. Every time I come around you, baby girl, something doesn't feel the same. You said that I'm changing, but it's really you. I see how you play those games. Wifey type for a main man. A queen can make moves, a king can't. Snatch you up, now you taking. Gave you bricks, now you building a wall up, wall up. Lately you and I been all love, all love. I don't know what's up with our love, our love. You forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie. Where are you when I need you the most? You still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting. Girl, you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something. Now you talking, telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? My jolie, oh my jolie. My jolie, oh my jolie. You don't turn on me now. You don't get no time for me now, babe. Got him on a rebound, but it's only you that I like, babe. Tout ce que j'ai fait, c'était pour toi. Sur le haut parle, mais t'écoutes pas. Tu me vois crever, mais tu bouges pas. Pourquoi? Whoa, you're wall up, wall up. You can't even get the scores up for us. I don't know what's up with our love, our love. You're forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie. Where you been when I need you the most? You still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting. Girl, you got me. This is more than bluffing. Need you something, now you talking. I call you bluff. Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? My jolie, oh my jolie. My jolie, oh my jolie. Yeah, this is murder, heart is melting. Girl, you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something. Now you talking, telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Cool it off. I don't know how to cool it off. My jolie, oh my jolie.
Just the other day, saw you looking my way. I start to contemplate moments that went to waste. Why you do that? You drop me like who that? And put me through that. But baby, it's useless. I'm living my life. Don't need you in mine. Me feeling just fine. One of a kind. Who better than I? Oh. Shawty, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I relocate, I don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I know my place. Shawty, I know my. Got a lot to do, I got a lot to do, I got a lot to do. Got a lot of. At the crack of dawn in the dark of night, what I got to do? Got to do. I'ma make it loud, how I made you scream like a cockatoo. Squall. In the party, we're about to show the rest what the boy can do. What you expect, how I forget these thoughts of you. Don't need no reps, I'm in the jet, gon' fly the coop, fly the coop. Shawty, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I relocate. Oh, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I relocate. I don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I know my place. Shawty, I know my place. Shawty, don't play that game.
let's go. Are you ready? You've been staring since I came in. I know you wanna get to know me. But honestly, I came with my girls, wanna dance by ourselves. Can't you tell? Baby, baby, I have thick skin. Yeah, I don't let things get to me. But do you want me to spell it out for you right now? I'm not feeling your vibe. Crystal clear that you're head over heels, but don't come any closer, my dear.